Chapter-321-340 Rain is coming. Boiling rain only senses the chakra fluctuations of two people, one of them is very unfamiliar, while the other is very familiar. It is the chakra breath of Hyuga Haeyoung. They are at the foot of the mountains more than 30 kilometers away. You are dead. Boiling Yu bit Kiba and muttered, stretched out his arms like his arms, took out a scroll, grabbed two sections of the scroll with both hands, and suddenly unfolded it. Bang! There are 7 characters on the scroll. At the moment when the scroll is unfolded, one of the characters bursts with white smoke, the light flashes, and an exaggerated knife appears in front of Boiling Yu in the smoke and light. Beheading sword. Boiling Yu grabbed the beheading sword, and with the beheading sword in his side arm, his knees jumped up and jumped directly off the cliff. Falling into the forest, the boiling rain suddenly burst again, and the speed was as fast as ultimate, and went straight to the high mountain more than 30 kilometers away. In the dark cave, Lu Han, who was sitting cross-legged behind, left Hyuga Haeyoung's back with his hands and slowly retracted his posture. Okay, I can't feel the effect of the treatment anymore. Lu Han said hoarsely, opened the insight map and glanced at it again, then closed his eyes and entered a state of breathing recovery. PFF'd. Hyuga Haeyoung spit out the rag in his mouth, gasping for a while, blinking and shaking his head. Seems to be a little out of consciousness. Lu Han used the technique of creating yuan to treat Hyuga Haeyoung, and at the same time, it would make Hyuga Haeyoung feel terrible pain. This kind of pain was almost unbearable for Hyuga Haeyoung. Everyone is dumbfounded. Lu Han had been cross-legged and recovered for a while, before Hyuga Haeyoung came back to his senses, closed his eyes, and began to check his own condition. After a while, Lu Han slowly exhaled, opened his eyes, then stood up, glanced at Hyuga Haeyoung who was still examining himself with his eyes closed. Lu Han walked to the entrance of the cave, looked outside the cave where the sky was still bright. Subconsciously she raised her hand to block the sun. I'm going to find something to eat. Orochimaru tilted his head and said, leaning against the edge of the cave. It's work. Lu Han nodded and replied. Orochimaru turned around and walked out of the cave, while Lu Han opened the insight map and glanced again, and at this moment, his face changed dramatically, and he blurted out exclaimed, wait a minute. Huh. Orochimaru frowned and stopped, looking back at Lu Han. The boiling rain is coming. I feel him, he is coming. Lu Han screamed, and at the same time he flicked his arm, and a sort of frightening appeared out of thin air in his hand. We can't escape. Insight map shows the big Yuhi point from the southwest of the insight map, and quickly approach the center of the insight map. Kurigakure Mizukage assistant, level 60 white silver boss, boiling rain. He came. The distance is so close, Lu Han knows that even if he has insight into the map, it is impossible to get rid of boiling rain, because Orochimaru once said that boiling rain has the ability to sense, but he doesn't know how far he can sense the distance. At least a few kilometers away. Call. A white shadow came out of the cave, but it was Hyuga Haeyoung wearing a white plain robe, with thick chakra fluctuations rippling from his body, his complexion Yuhi moist, and his whole body was very energetic. I have recovered from my injury. Hyuga Haeyoung said quickly, I just heard you say. Is the boiling rain coming? Yes. Lu Han nodded heavily, glanced at the icy Orochimaru, and then looked at Hyuga Haeyoung. His left arm suddenly raised and swung, carrying dozens of kunai and shuriken leather belts, as well as a penultimate class. The long knife flew out of thin air. Hyuga grabbed the belt and the long knife, first put the belt on his body, locked the metal buckle, and then inserted the long knife diagonally into the double-opening metal sleeve on the side of the belt. Hyuga Haeyoung naturally knows how to use a knife, but he doesn't like to use a knife. The Hyuga ninja who has achieved his strength has already mastered the gentle fist method. Fist, feet, elbows, and knees can be used as weapons. Chakra is used for important parts of the body. Packed and attacked, it can even shake the blade. However, for Hyuga KO, the sword, the kunai, and the shuriken are also necessities, and there is always a time to use them. Kai. The sound of breaking the air is rapidly approaching. it is not a hidden weapon flying, but a person is rapidly approaching. Orochimaru, Lu Han, and Hyuga Haeyoung, the three of them stood scattered near the entrance of the cave, looking up at the direction of the sound. Hyuga Haeyoung slowly pulled away from the gentle fist posture. Lu Han crossed the knife in front of him, Orochimaru in his hand. There was a dark kunai. The three didn't say much, and there was no time for them to discuss countermeasures at this time. There were only two choices, either fight or flee, and the latter. It's hard to do. The three of them can escape separately, but in that case, maybe the other two can escape, but one of them will definitely be killed or captured. Nobody wants that to happen. Woohoo! The sound got closer and closer, and the fast-running figure brought a gust of wind. The wind blew through the grass, brushed the trees, and finally blew on the three people in front of the cave, and the three people's clothes shook violently. I stop him, you escape. Hyuga Haeyoung whispered quickly, I will buy you more time. Neither Orochimaru nor Lu Han responded. Hyuga Haeyoung, who is good at physical defense, has the ability to stop the boiling rain in a short time, but Lu Han and Orochimaru are here to save Hyuga Haeyoung. If Hyuga Haeyoung is left here, what's the point of the previous efforts? Wow! The ghostly figure appeared in front of the trees in the distance. Because he came so fast, it seemed as if he appeared out of thin air. Boiling rain. Boiling rain with a beheading sword. The atmosphere was instantly suppressed to ultimate. The level 60 white silver boss is extremely dazzling in Lu Han's eyes. Cage level, very powerful shadow. Lu Han knows his own strength. After reluctantly master Hiraishin, he should be completely stronger than Munashi Ghost 7, but it is hard to say whether he has entered the 60th level. And Orochimaru is a level 60 elite. Hyuga Haeyoung was stronger than a level 50 gold boss before, but it is estimated that it is not as good as Danzo. It should also be a level 60 elite. Taken together, if the three of them fight the level 60 bronze boss, they have a bigger chance of winning, but if they fight the level 60 white silver boss, it is a bigger loss. Boiling Yu's face was expressionless. His cold eyes swept across the faces of Orochimaru and Hyuga Haeyoung, and finally he looked at the black-robed figure wearing a mask. Only this person, he didn't know. Who are you? Boiling Yu asked in a dry and harsh voice. Chapter 0322-Cold Light. Today is your day of death. Boiling Yu thought about it before. Who can save Hyuga Haeyoung silently? On the way here, Boiyu asked Mundogen, and Grandmaster Mundogen, who analyzed the traces, clearly told Boiyu that someone bypassed the guards and sneaked into the cell silently, and then used non-attribute ninjutsu in the cell. A hole was opened in the ground, and a tunnel was dug to take people out. Mundogen made it very clear that the man did not enter the cell by digging a tunnel, but went to the cell first and found Hyuga Haeyoung before digging a tunnel to take people out. This can be said to be extremely difficult. Even Boiling Rain can't guarantee that he can do it, and Boiling Rain can be sure that the other party must be a grandmaster with some kind of extremely unique instant body technique, so that it is possible to enter the cell without hurting the guard or breaking the cell door. Middle. Now, Boiyu has met Hyuga Haeyoung and the two people who rescued Hyuga Haeyoung. Orochimaru Boiyu knows each other and has fought before, and Orochimaru is the direct disciple of the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he goes out to perform tasks all year round. Ability, Kurigakure has long had more detailed information. Boiling Yu doesn't think Orochimaru has the ability to sneak into the cell without a sound, and it doesn't seem like Orochimaru's style of doing things. If he sneaked into the cell while killing the guard in the cell without a sound, he could do it. In the prison, no one was killed or injured. Boiling Rain stared at the mysterious ninja standing in the middle wearing a black robe and a mask. Orochimaru can't do it, it's only him. The atmosphere became more and more dignified, and the air seemed to condense. Boiling Yu's breath is very violent, fluctuating high and low. Obviously his mood is very unstable. Both sides are on full guard. Boiyu naturally dare not be careless. He knows the strength of Orochimaru and Hyuga Haeyoung. They are existences that cannot be underestimated, and the mysterious figure in the middle. Quiet. Silence to ultimate. The battle seems to be about to start. Answer me, who are you? Boiling Yu spoke again, squinting at the mysterious figure in black robe, hidden head and tail, dare not say it. Boiling Yu is really right, but Lu Han is a little afraid to say it. The name, Hengguang, has long been recorded on the Kurigakure lore list. Since the last Ninja World War, there have been no ninjas who dared to cause Kurigakure to suffer huge losses over and over in the past 10 years. Until the last year, Hengguang born out of nowhere. Lu Han was indeed a little worried. He said in front of Boiling Yu that he was Hengguang. Would Boiling Yu want to kill him like crazy? Although the first kill of the 60-level white-silver boss is extremely tempting, Lu Han has self-awareness and knows that he is not the opponent of Boiling Yu, and the possibility of 3 people winning Boiling Yu is not high, so don't be particularly concerned about Boiling Yu. Good. Seeing the black robe figure not answering, the icy color in Boiling Yu's eyes became even stronger. Staring at the black robe figure's eyes, he said slowly, "You are Hengguang." Right. Lu Han was stunned. This guy guessed it. Boiling Yu naturally had reason to guess. First of all, Master Hengguang had the unique ability to escape, and secondly, Hengguang was currently in the southwest mountain range, so Boiling Yu could guess that it was Hengguang, but he couldn't be sure. At this point, if Lu Han didn't recognize it, he would be too cowardly. "I'm Hengguang." A hoarse voice came from under the mask, and Lu Leng looked at Boiling Yu. "What do you want?" "Hengguang." Ha 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 ha. Boiling Yu burst out laughing. His expression was so ferocious that he even felt terrified. "Okay. Hengguang, I finally caught you. Today is your death." "Huh." Lu Leng smiled. "Call underscore." Boiling rain rushed to Lu Han in an instant like the wind, and the beheading sword in his hand slashed down. Quickly startled Lu Han. Lu Han didn't even see the trajectory of Boiling Yu's movement when he rushed over. Secret technique, shadow flash technique. Lu Han's fleeting shadow dodged the Boiling Rain's attack. The Boiling Rain followed him like a shadow, and its movement speed was not even much slower than that of Lu Han's shadow flash. A strong sense of crisis always enveloped Lu Han. Kai. Lu Han threw out Kuwu and threw it into the sky. After a breath, Kuwu reached an altitude of 300 meters. Lu Han disappeared to the ground, and flickering appeared near Kuwu. He turned around and grabbed Hiraishin Kuei in his hand. Lu Han only has this Hiraishin Kunai. If it is interrupted or sealed, Lu Han will temporarily lose the ability of the Hiraishin technique. Hiraishin. Boiling Yu exclaimed. The second generation of Hokage's signature ninjutsu reappeared in the world. Boiling Yu was shocked. He was the one who fought the first ninja war, and he knew the art of Hiraishin deeply. How terrifying the utility is. At the same time, Hyuga Haeyoung rushed behind Boiling Rain. His hands seemed to tear apart the space, and hit Boiling Rain with terrifying pressure. Gentle fist method, snake and tiger double attack. Boom. Behind Boiling Yu's feet, a lime soil wall covered with curse marks instantly rose. Hyuga Haeyoung hit it with both hands, directly smashing the lime soil wall, but Boiling Yu also took this opportunity to jump out first. Not far away. Orochimaru completed the more complex hand seal at this moment. Ninfa Airburst Clone. In the air, Lu Han quickly completed the hand seal. Cadent Fire Style, Demon Flame Art. 2 illusory clones appeared beside Orochimaru, translucent. As soon as the 2 clones appeared, they flew towards the Boiling Rain like the wind. Lu Han in the sky spit out a dark yuhi-colored flame, and the ghost flame like a curtain strikes the location of the Boiling Rain on the ground as fast as lightning. With a flick of Hyuga Haeyoung's hand, more than a dozen kunai, more than a dozen black rays of light shot towards the Boiling Rain. Humph! He heard a cold snort from Boiling Yu, raised his arms, and a cyan curse appeared on both palms, secret art twin wheels. Blue light erupted from Boiling Yu. Boom, boom, rumble boom. Various forces collided with each other. The roar was like continuous thunder, the shock wave of terror swept all around, the flames shot into the sky, and the earth shook. ... On a mountain more than 100 kilometers away from the battlefield. The blood-robed man was sitting on a branch covered by dense leaves, breathing evenly, but he was sleeping soundly. Sudden. He seemed to feel something, and suddenly opened his eyes. A pair of Mangekyo Sharingan subconsciously rotated, chakra transformed and refined on his own, and strange chakra fluctuations rippled around him. Cold, the blood-robed man said suspiciously, turning his head to look southeast. Chapter-321-340 You are all trash. In a valley surrounded by mountains on three sides. Mundogen ran fast, his eyes narrowed, and he kept scanning the surrounding environment. In his mind, the southwest mountains and the far west had been imaged as a detailed map, and the scene he saw while running was exactly the same. It constantly overlaps with the imaging map in his mind, but there will always be some differences. A wild boar ran past here. This is the footprint of a ninja. This blade of grass was trampled a day ago. Snake crawling traces. This is the footprints of the two running back and forth. The latter's footprints are deeper. If it is either heavier, or there is a load on the body. Will it be the trace left by the physical clone? Mundogen was different for almost a moment. While running wildly, his thoughts flashed through his mind like lightning. In fact, even if he did not have extraordinary memory ability, his tracking ability was the best of Kurigaker. Trace tracking analysis is not simply to see the trace, to speculate who left the trace, and how long ago it was left. The key is to connect the traces seen to obtain a complete intelligence chain, thereby draw the right conclusions. For example, from a starting point, there are two footprints going in different directions. This is likely to be two people walking apart, or it may be that a ninja used a clone to create fraud traces for anti-tracking. When encountering a situation, no ninja can immediately analyze the correct situation, but how to analyze it based on the traces that have been tracked before. It is not impossible to draw the correct conclusion. If this trace is correct, then they should. Mundogen traced the footprints of the two people and ran out of the valley along the footprints of the two people. Rumble boom. The roar sounded suddenly, and it came from a far distance. It spread far away like a dull thunder, and the whole forest was shocked. Mundogen suddenly stopped on a tree branch more than 30 meters high, and looked at the mountain in the distance. The distance was too far, and Mundogen couldn't see what was happening there, but the sound was indeed coming from there. Come. Lord Boiling, you found them. Mundo Shin asked himself, and pulled out the long knife pinned to his back. The whole person jumped down from the branch like a spirit ape and fell into the bushes. With one step, the speed increased sharply, going straight to the direction from which the previous explosion sounded. 10 minutes later. Mundogen was getting closer and closer to the foot of the mountain, and he already felt the familiar chakra breath. It's the breath of Lord Boiling Yu, and Hyuga Haeyoung. That's them. Mundogen was already quite sure that Boiling Yu was there. Taking a deep breath, Mundogen waved futon, wind style, all over his body. The whole person seems to have turned into the wind, moving faster. His speed has reached ultimate. At the foot of high mountains. Most of the trees and vegetation have been destroyed into slag and ashes, and the ground is full of anxiety. Several kilometers in front of the cave have been destroyed into ruins. Some trees that have not fallen down are burning with raging fire. A big hole. Boiling Rain in a blue-gray robe stood on the fallen tree, and the beheading knife had been hung behind his back. He kept the hand seal movement with both hands, and glanced coldly around the surroundings. Hyuga Haeyoung stood more than 10 meters in front of Boiling Yu, his shoulders undulating and panting violently. His face was a little pale, and his clothes were a little tattered, and there was no trace of dirt on his robes. The Boiling Rain is in stark contrast. Boiling Rain is much stronger than him. It is also a ninja of Grandmaster Yuju, but his speed is extremely fast. In the previous battle, although it was a 3-on-1 battle, Boiling Rain always suppressed the three people, and Hyuga Haeyoung, who was good at defense, endured most of Boiling Rain's unavoidable attacks, and his chakra consumed the most. Orochimaru stood behind Hyuga Haeyoung, his hands clasped together, staring at the Boiling Rain. As one of the direct disciples of the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Orochimaru can be said to be the most recognized disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen, because he, like Sarutobi Hiruzen, has all the attributes of chakra. Kaden, fire style, Suiten, water style, Futon, wind style, Raiden, thunder style, Doden, earth style. 5 attribute ninjutsu, Orochimaru are all grandmasters. He also masters the mysterious and unpredictable self-created secret technique, Forbidden Technique. However, just now Orochimaru had done everything he could, but he couldn't hurt a single hair of boiling rain. Kai. Sound of breaking the air suddenly sounded. Hiraishin Kunai shot straight into the boiling rain. Boiling Yu's eyes swept away, he waved his hand violently, and shot a black light. With a crisp sound of crack, Hiraishin Kunai was hit by a black light when he was still more than 10 meters away from the boiling rain. Call. Luhan in a tattered black robe appeared near Hiraishin Kuwu. He reached out and grabbed Hiraishin Kuwu in his hand, and then threw his hand to the ground. He didn't grab Hiraishin Kuwu until he was still 3 meters away from the ground, and he rolled over and landed lightly. Huh! Luhan gasped, holding Hiraishin Kunai back, staring at the boiling rain. Failed again. It was very difficult for Luhan to get close to Boiling Yu and launch a surprise attack, because every time, as long as he approached Boiling Yu with the kunai of Hiraishin's technique, Boiling Yu would throw a black light and knock kunai flying. Luhan had tried his best to make Hiraishin Kunai fly away. The rate of fire is faster, but it is still difficult to approach the boiling rain. Boiling rain's reaction awareness is too pervert. He didn't want to have hidden weapons near him, and hidden weapons could not reach him. Luhan reluctantly mastered Hiraishin, but it is difficult to exert the power of Hiraishin on Boiling Yu. The two sides have stopped for a few minutes and are deadlocked. You. Boiling Yu suddenly said, his eyes swept away, it's all trash. Hyuga Heiyong, Orochimaru, and Luhan all had cold eyes. If you give up your resistance, I promise not to kill you. Boiling Yu said again. Huh, Luhan suddenly felt that something was wrong. Boiling Yu was pretending to be crazy. As long as his IQ is normal, it is impossible for him to say such words. Boiling Yu should be very clear that no one will surrender. Whoosh. The wind is booming. From far to near. Someone is coming. Be strong. He's stalling for time. Wait for help. Luhan's thoughts changed and he exclaimed. Boiling Yu suddenly looked at Luhan and said with a mocking smile, how smart. Chapter 0324-Brutal Reality. What Luhan said was right at all. Boiling rain was just delaying time. Previously, Boiling Yu led the 7 members of the Ninja Blades of Mist to fight against 5 elite Jonin from Tsunade, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Hyuga Heiyong, and Hyuga family, 8-9. Boiling Rain's side won, but it didn't go well, because only 3 Hyuga family elite Jonin were killed at the time, and Hyuga Heiyong was captured, and everyone else ran away. This is not normal. With the strength of Boiling Rain, plus the Master's 7 special ninja knives, the 7 people of the Mist ninja knives, which are famous in the ninja world, it is not difficult to win Tsunade, Hyuga Heiyong and others with this configuration. But the result is that most of them escape. The problem is with Hyuga Heiyong. The head of the Hyuga clan, an ancient and famous Konoha clan, has a defense method called Pervert. It was Hyuga Heiyong who stopped the Boiling Rain and caused the others to escape. Even Boiling Yu dare not say that he has the means to break Hyuga Heiyong's strongest defense. And when Hyuga Heiyong was captured, it was entirely because the chakra was about to be exhausted. Having had the last battle experience, this time, Boiling Yu is very cautious. What he worries about is not about winning or losing. Naturally, he doesn't think he will lose. If he wins, he will win, but the key is, don't let people run away. Orochimaru, who has made a breakthrough in strength, Hyuga Heiyong, whose defense means Pervert, plus Cold Light. Although there are only 3 people, their strength is not much weaker than that of the 9-member team that day. Boiling Yu is confident that he can win, but he is afraid that the situation that day will happen again. Therefore, Boiling Yu has just deliberately controlled it. He is afraid that if he hits too hard, hurts someone, or makes the three of them feel completely unstoppable, Hyuga Haeyoung, who has a righteous heart and dares to pay, will definitely go crazy again. Boiling Rain can be contained, and the other two can run. Boiling Rain didn't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Orochimaru, the most talented direct disciple of the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Boyu wants to keep him. And the cold light, Boiling Rain can't wait to swallow it alive. Can't let them escape. So Boiling Rain is really delaying time. He is waiting for someone to come, waiting for Mundogen to come. The battle is very moving, and Fino is also nearby. Mundogen will get the news sooner or later, and he will definitely come. As Boiling Rain wishes, Mundogen is here. Call, Kai. The gust of wind swept into the battlefield, and the whistling sound was getting closer and closer, more and more harsh. The figure with the violent breath approached at an extreme speed, and suddenly stopped when it was still 100 meters away from the battlefield, and then disappeared. Wow! The whirlwind rolled up beside Boiling Yu, and Mundogen appeared out of thin air, standing side by side with Boiling Yu on the fallen tree. Sir, Mundogen greeted, but he didn't look at Boiling Yu. Hengdao was in front of him, and his eyes glanced at the three people in front of the battlefield. Yeah, Boiling Yu replied lightly. His heart was calm. He actually showed a faint smile to the three people in front, raised his eyebrows, his face was full of contempt, as if he could command the world, and said lightly, "Today, none of you want to leave." Hyuga Haeyoung's face changed drastically, and even Orochimaru frowned. Boiling Rain was already difficult to deal with, and the outcome of a fight against him was unpredictable, and now Kurigakure Scout Commander Mundogen is here too. Mundogen's strength is by no means inferior to Hyuga Haeyoung, but each is good at it differently. Damn, Luhan muttered in a low voice, his eyes scanning back and forth over the heads of Boiling Yu and Mundogen. Kurigakure Mizukage Assistant, Level 60 White Silver Boss, Boiling Rain. Leader of the Kurigakure Scout Force Captain, Level 55 Diamond Boss, Mundogen. These two guys, if you kill one of them at will, the drop reward will be unimaginable. The first kill of the 60-level White Silver Boss, according to the first kill drop rules, may drop the top S-level Forbidden Technique, or even Super S-level Technique. That is the profound meaning. The original book has clearly mentioned the concept of profound meaning, such as Hiraishin is an S-level time-space ninjutsu, and the Spiral Flash Super Wheel Dance and Roar 3 style, that can be performed by the 4th generation Hokage Namikaze Minato in the original book as a Super S-level art. It can be called a mystery. The reason why Luhan thinks that killing Boiling Yu may drop a Super S-level technique is because the drop rules are like this. If you kill the first boss, you may drop a technique that the boss itself does not have a master, and a higher level technique than his master. And killing Mundogen, although the quality of the drop reward can't be compared to killing Boiling Rain, he is a diamond boss. The explosion rate of killing a diamond boss is 10 times that of killing a gold boss. And coupled with the first kill explosion rate bonus, the total explosion rate will be close to full value. It can even be said that as long as Luhan kills Mundogen, he can obtain all of Mundogen's combat abilities, and by deprivation, he may also gain his ability to remember him. Luhan was a little excited, but his heart immediately cooled down. The imagination is beautiful, but the reality is extremely cruel. Now, it's not a question of whether you can kill the boss, but whether you can survive this battle. With the strength of Mundogen, at least one person can be contained, and the remaining two can't be Boiling Yu's opponents. Although he won't lose right away, he will lose sooner or later, unless Boiling Yu suddenly loses his mind. But that's not as likely as the sudden destruction of the shinobi world. It's impossible. Cold Light, who is wearing a black robe and a mask. Orochimaru, Hyuga Haeyoung, and Luhan didn't move either. Whoever moves first will trigger the battle. That guy. Boyu suddenly raised his hand and pointed at Luhan. He is Han Guang. He knows Hiraishin. Be careful not to let him run away. Oh, Mundogen stared at Luhan. His eyes narrowed. Understood, my lord. Mundogen's eyes became colder, but the corner of his mouth evoked a winning smile. fighting side by side with Master Boiling Yu. Naturally it's a must-win. Mundogen thinks so, and in fact, it's pretty much the same. Ask you again. Boiling Yu said again, surrender. This time, it was a serious question. Wishful thinking. Hyuga Haeyoung said decisively, with a determined expression, only the Konoha ninja who died in battle, and the Konoha ninja who did not surrender. Then don't blame me, Boiling Yu smiled. At this time. Whoosh! A terrifying whistle sounded from the distant horizon. Approaching the sky at high speed, the violent chakra fluctuations are undisguised. The 5 people on the battlefield changed color at the same time and looked up. Chapter 0325_brother, miss me. The Komer is strong. If the aura of the incoming person is not disguised, then its strength is probably no weaker than anyone present except Boiling Yu. All 5 people on the battlefield looked up. Except for Lu Han, everyone else changed their color. Although they still don't know who is coming, they have already considered the consequences. The incoming person may belong to Kurigakure, may belong to Konoha, and more likely is a third-party ninja. If it is from Kurigakure's side, 3-on-3, Konoha's side will be forced into a real desperate situation, and if it is from Konoha's side, 4-for-2, Kurigakure will not be forced into a corner, but Boiling Yu will not dare to say that he will win. There is a very critical problem, that is, Boiling Rain and Mundogen, Hyuga Haeyoung and Orochimaru, all don't know this guy. So they subconsciously think that the Komer is the other person. And if it is someone from a third-party force, the probability is very small. It is always thankless for a third party to disrupt the situation. This guy is here. Ha! He is here. Lu Han was already shocked, and a smile appeared on the delicate face of the mask, Sen Luo. I can sense that Danzo has not returned to Konoha, so it counts. It was Sarutobi Hiruzen who made him come. Senju Senro. Super high-speed flight. Blood Yuhi robes. Extremely publicized violent chakra fluctuations. These are the characteristics of Senju Senro. Lu Han and Senju Senluo are very familiar. Even if the person has not flown over, Lu Han will not admit his mistake. Moreover, on the insight map, the blue dot represents the flying figure. Teammate Blue. Let's go. Hyuga Haeyoung suddenly screamed out, took a step forward and spread his arms, as if he was going to make a big move. Come on. I'll stop them. Nice guy. Lu Han sighed in his heart, risking his life to save Hyuga Haeyoung. He really did the right thing. Hyuga Haeyoung is really worth saving. Hyuga Luo Ning has a good father. Don't be nervous, Lu Han said quickly, his voice hoarse. It's my own. Oh, Hyuga Haeyoung was stunned for a moment, then glanced back at Lu Han slightly. Orochimaru also looked sideways at Lu Han, frowning slightly. Orochimaru is more puzzled than Hyuga Haeyoung, because he is a disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he knows very well that there are those strong men in Konoha, even Anbu's, he also knows. Because he has briefly joined Anbu route, but he does not know who comes. Own people. Lu Han glanced at Orochimaru and gave him a reassuring look. It's not surprising that Orochimaru doesn't know Sen Luo. In the whole of Konoha, very few people know Sen Luo. Unless Orochimaru is the captain of Anbu, even if you have heard the name of Sen Luo, you may not know him. Ha ha ha, it's so lively. The loud laughter sounded, and the figure in the blood robe flew over the battlefield, 500 meters above the ground, looked down at the 5 people on the battlefield, and said in a strange tone, "Yo, many acquaintances." Huh, Lu Han was taken aback for a moment. How many acquaintances? Who else? It's you, you bastard. Damn it. Boiling Yu suddenly screamed out in shock, and there was even some unbelievable feeling in his voice. He didn't recognize Senju Senluo before, but now he does, the only reason. Senju Senluo spoke. The tone of the neurotic is so characteristic that it is unforgettable as long as you have heard it. Ha 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 ha. Senju Senluo laughed inexplicably, the voice stopped abruptly, and the person disappeared into the sky. Call. The blood-robed figure suddenly appeared beside Han Guang, who was dressed in a mysterious dress. He reached out his arm and hooked Han Guang's neck. He squeezed it hard, and said with a weird smile, "Ha! Brother, miss me?" Before meeting Lu Han, Senju Senluo had no friends. Lu Han is his only friend. Ah! Lu Han was stunned for a moment, then lowered his voice and said urgently, "Bastard! Shouldn't you pretend you don't know me? Does it matter? You're all going to die anyway. That pervert named Boiling You will kill you," Senju Senro said bluntly. "Fuck!" Lu Han scolded in a low voice, remembering what happened before, and scolded again, "Bastard! What did you say when you went back last time? A large group of people thought I was dead, and the grave was built for me. You ask Bastard Danzo, I'm not talking nonsense. Believe in you to be a ghost. Ha! Don't worry, I'm here to save you this time. Where's my gift?" "What gift? You bastard, you have no conscience. I came to save you, but you didn't even prepare a present for me. How did I know you would suddenly appear? What gift do you want?" "Danzo's life. Go away." "Ha, just kidding, just kidding. Please calm down first and stop being crazy for the time being. By the way, do you know Boiling You?" "Ah, that guy, it happened many years ago." "What happened?" "That mission. I killed his son." The atmosphere was a little weird. The moment the powerful man in blood robe entered the battlefield, he pulled Han Guang to speak, and the two of them whispered together for a while. Orochimaru and Sarutobi Hiruzen looked a little dumb, because they both saw the eyes of the blood-robed man. Mangekyo Sharingan. Is there such a strong man hidden in the Uchiha clan? The aura of Boiling Rain is already very unstable, and it seems like it is about to boil. The so-called enemy meets Yuhi. At that time, he didn't even know who the murderer was, but he would never forget the murderer's strange tone when he spoke, and Mangekyo Sharingan with Mokuden wood style. "Tell me, who are you? Tell me, I want to know, who are you?" Boiling You asked, almost roaring at the end. He restrained himself and did not act immediately, because he really wanted to know, who is this person, who killed his only son? "That bastard Sarutobi Hiruzen asked me to come. That bastard's strength has become stronger again, it's really scary." Senju Senluo didn't seem to hear Boiling Yu's voice, and was still whispering to Lu Han with his head tilted. "Hello." Lu Han poked Senju Senluo's shoulder, "That guy asked you something." "Huh, is that so?" Senju Senluo finally reacted, blinked his eyes and looked in the direction of Boiling You, then asked Lu Han, "Ask what?" He asked, "Who are you?" Lu Han said helplessly, "There is no cure for this neurosis." "Who am I?" Senju Senluo blinked again, looked at Boiling You again, grinned and said, "I'm your uncle." Chapter 0326 Footen, Vapor Style. Boiling You is on the verge of going mad. He is a man with a deep heart and a calm personality, but in the face of the neurotic Senju Senluo, he can't calm down. What Hyuga Haeyoung, what cold light. Boiling You doesn't even have thinking about their mood. At this moment, all he sees in his eyes is the blood-robed man with a strange tone. Ha 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 ha. Good. Very good. Boiling You stared at Senju Senluo hoarsely. "Today, I will let you understand, what is life better than death?" "Isn't life better than death?" Senju spit out his tongue at Boiling You. "Okay, come on." Senju Senluo has been sick frequently for more than 10 years. Every time he gets sick, he will realize that life is better than death, so Boiling Rain is really not a threat at all. Boom. Boiling Rain is moving. The crossbar under his feet exploded in an instant, and the whole person rose into the sky like a cannonball, facing the sky, and quickly hand seal. And at the same moment when the crossbar burst, Mundogen jumped out, backwards. Retreat. It's his stunt, dodge. Hyuga Haeyoung shouted in surprise. Boiling Rain wants to make a big move. He hated Senju Senra so much that he didn't have the slightest patience to try first. Secret Art Boiling Rain. Boiling Rain completed the hand seal. At this moment, flames burned on his hands, but he spit out a huge amount of water. The water formed a water ball in front of him. The flames rose, engulfed the water ball, and then the water ball began to spin wildly. A large number of water droplets were thrown out and shot downward like a bullet. The high-temperature rain that was heated to the point of boiling. Almost about to fog up. The attack area is huge, and there is no difference in group attack. Boiling rain. Boiling rain's stunt is boiling rain. At the same moment when the attack fell, Luhan's body magic blessed his arm and threw Hiraishin Kuu out. Orochimaru also completed the hand seal. White phosphorus appeared on his arm, he plunged into the ground, and he burrowed into the soil and disappeared without a trace. The sun is spinning, and 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven is here. Either guard, either hide. This is the right strategy. Senju raised his head to watch the attack fall, and just before he was about to be hit, his hands joined together to form a seal. Boom! Several small saplings appeared on the ground around Senju Senluo. Almost instantly, the small saplings turned into large trees several meters high. The luxuriant canopies were connected to each other, forming a barrier that could block attacks from above. The attack falls. Boom! Boom! The ground almost shook and the mountains were shrouded in ultra-high temperature fog for hundreds of meters. The ultra-high temperature rain with terrifying power attacked downward frantically. Every drop of water had the power of a bullet, and the canopy of the big tree around Senju Senluo was shattered in a breath, but the new saplings and vines were already grow out, keep resisting. The chakra fluctuations on Senju Senluo's body are extremely violent, and it can be felt that he is outputting a large amount of chakra, constantly making trees grow. The branches are interrupted, and new ones grow immediately. The trunk is interrupted, and new big trees appear immediately. In fact, with Senju's ability, he had a chance to dodge. His speed surpassed anyone here except Boiling Rain, but he didn't dodge. Resist. This is unwise. The chakra consumption will be huge, but Senju Senluo is mentally ill, no one knows what he thinks. The attack lasted for more than 10 seconds. And for more than 10 seconds, Boiling Rain has been in the air, next to the frantically spinning water polo. Boiling Rain can't fly. It is the ability of secret technique Boiling Rain that allows him to stay in the air for a short time. When the attack ended, the boiling rain also began to fall from the sky. On the battlefield, the ultra-high temperature fog quickly dissipated. Hyuga stopped spinning and stood on the cracked ground, panting violently. Senju Senra let the leaves and branches guarding his body withdraw, revealing his figure. The ground suddenly burst not far away, and Orochimaru rushed out, and the white phosphorus on his arms quickly disappeared. All three are fine, not dead, not even injured. Not at all surprising. If you can hit a powerful enemy with a big move, then the ninja's battle is too simple. Whoever is stronger and who is weaker has stronger attack ability than whoever has the strongest attack ability. Boiling Rain's big moves, if he were to deal with the ninja troops, he would probably cause a lot of casualties, but all he attacked were shadows or quasi-shadows. He's just a stronger Kage level, he doesn't have the strength to kill Quenying. Generally speaking, in ninja battles, the ultimate move is used at the end, because in the later stage of the battle, both sides have less chakra, and they will both be exhausted, and fatigue will make mistakes more likely. There may not be enough chakra to use the ability to defend, and it may not be able to escape. Of course, although Boiling Rain didn't hurt anyone, it didn't mean his big move was useless. Senju Senluo, Hyuga Heian, and Orochimaru all consume a lot of chakra. In comparison, Orochimaru consumes the least and Senju Senluo consumes the most, but the most affected is Hyuga Heian. Because the total amount of chakra of Hyuga Heian is far less than Senju Senluo, it can be seen from the fact that he is breathing heavily. His consumption is really not ordinary. Boiling Rain crashed to the ground. He bent his knees and then stood up straight, still staring at Senju Senrao. His face did not change in the slightest, and it was obvious that his own chakra volume was extremely large. A tree 300 meters away, Luhan held Hiraishin Kuu in his hand and looked at the battlefield. His expression changed. The battlefield ground that was attacked by secret technique boiling rain, was actually half a meter thicker. On the one hand it becomes more compacted by the impact, and another reason is corrosion. Corrosion marks all over the ground. Mystic boiling rain is not only super high temperature water, but also has a corrosive effect. Fudan, vapor style. Lu Han was shocked. He was familiar with the original book and thought of Fudan, vapor style, and boiling rain obviously didn't know Fudan, vapor style, but his attack did produce almost the effect of Fudan, vapor style. What is his relationship with Terumi Mei? No, at this time in this world, Terumi Mei has not been born. What is his relationship with Terumi Mei in the future? Father, teacher, Terumi Mei master Fudan, vapor style, is it with him? Lu Han's thoughts fluctuated. Kai. The sound of breaking air strikes, approaching at an extreme speed, and a terrifying sense of crisis envelopes Lu Han. Fuck. Make a sneak attack. Lu Han screamed strangely, throwing Hiraishin Kue with his hand. You don't have to look to know that the sneak attacker is Mundogen. Chapter 0327_unarmed idiot. Boiling You made a big move just now. Only 2 people left the battlefield, that is Lu Han and Mundogen. Mundogen knew about Boiling You and retreated first, while Lu Han was able to leave. He has Hiraishin. Hiraishin Kunai through a few hundred meters in an instant, and he appeared a few hundred meters away. There is no doubt that the sneak attack is Mundogen. Feeling the danger, Lu Han threw out Hiraishin Kunai. The whole person also disappeared. Boom. The terrifying blade light with thunderous whistling blasted and smashed the tree where Lu Han was standing before. Mundogen, who came from the wind, appeared. One turned over and landed on a nearby tree, holding the blade and looking at him coldly. Ahead, the corners of his mouth evoked a mocking smile. He stopped chasing and killing, because when he was chasing, it was not a sneak attack. What he wants to kill is Han Guang, not a nameless person, who can't make a sneak attack, and then fight head-on, and he is also very cautious. Lu Han appeared beside the high-speed moving Hiraishin Kuwu, grabbed Hiraishin Kuwu, turned over and landed on the tree branch. Although it was only a reluctance to master Hiraishin's technique, it gave Lu Han a qualitative leap in his escape ability. Not to mention Mundogen, it's Boiling You. Lu Han is also confident that he can escape Boiling You's pursuit. Of course, it can be one thing, doing it or not is another. Lu Han can run, but not. Lu Han can accurately judge the current situation. Boiling Rain and Mundogen can definitely defeat Orochimaru, Senju Senluo, and Hyuga Heian, not because Orochimaru is weak, but because Boiling Rain is too strong. So you can't run. Do you only hide? Mundogen stared at Lu Han and made a mocking voice. No wonder I can't catch you all the time. It turns out that you have mastered the technique of Hiraishin. Oh no, you are just reluctant to master, you can't even sense movement accurately. 2. Mundogen participated in the last Ninja World War. He knows how strong the real Hiraishin is, and the cold light is still far behind. Naturally, Lu Han would not tell Mundogen that he had only recently forced master Hiraishin. Boom. The roaring sound suddenly attracted the attention of Lu Han and Mundogen. Both of them were vigilantly paying attention to each other, and both of them paid attention to the situation on the battlefield with their peripheral vision. ... Death to me! Boiling Rain roared hysterically, the ground under his feet collapsed instantly, and the whole person appeared in front of Senju Senluo in a flash. The beheading sword slashed across the half-moon track, and slashed at the top of Senju Senluo's head. Senju Senluo raised his hand, and a wooden thorn sprang from his palm to hit the Boiling Rain, and at the same time retreated violently. The wooden thorns kept sticking out and were cut off again and again by the beheading knife. Boiling You swung the knife in an almost crazy way. The two fought for a few breaths. After passing the beheading sword, the whole person flew out and went straight into the sky. Senju Senluo raised his left hand, the curse mark in the palm of his left hand appeared, and he shot out the blue-black curse mark chain, chasing after Senju Senluo, almost entangled Senju Senluo, but failed, because Orochimaru's attack arrived. Futon, wind style, Deu swirl. Orochimaru spit out 3 huge wind balls, and the 3 wind balls hit Boyu in an arc. Boyu, who was attacking Senju Senluo, had to turn around and put his hands together. When the hand seal was completed, the ground in front of him exploded, and the huge black soil thorns slanted out of the ground and collided with the big jade whirling. Boom! The shock wave erupted and swept across a radius of 100 meters. 8 trigrams Space Hammer. Hyuga Haeyoung also launched an attack on Boiling Yu from the other direction. Pure chakra shot out from his palm, condensing into a translucent sphere with a diameter of more than half a meter, and bombarded Boiling Yu in an instant. A close call. Boiling Yu's figure was suddenly illusory, and the hammer hit the sky. Boiling Yu appeared directly in the sky beside Senju Senluo, and the knife light cut out at the same moment. Too fast. Senju, who can fly, dodged the attack of the beheading sword in a thrilling manner. His body fell, and he dashed straight to the ground. Senju Senluo's own abilities are conflicting. He can fly, but he can't stay in the sky all the time, because his Mokuden wood-style ability has to rely on the earth to exert its greatest power. If he wanted to run, it would be difficult for Boiling Yu to catch him, but he was here to fight, and he had no plans to run. Senju Senluo returns to the ground, the boiling rain follows him. He can't fly, but he has too many forbidden techniques. Underground, that is. It just needs to be performed again and again. No one knows how many evil spells Boiling Yu has mastered. Doden, Earth-style, Snake. Orochimaru launched ninjutsu again. The ground burst, and a giant snake formed of mud rushed out fiercely, heading straight for the boiling rain. Hyuga Haeyoung has already drawn out his long sword and headed straight for the boiling rain. Hyuga's gentle fist method has a long-range attack technique, but it is very rare, and every time it is used, it needs to consume a lot of chakra. Hyuga Haeyoung can't afford it, and in close combat, if you want to pour the boiling rain into a hole, it's almost impossible. You have to use a knife. Boiling rain is frantically entangling Senju Senrao, almost chasing him. In fact, Senju Senrao is not that bad. Although he is ill, he can't fully utilize his Mokuden, wood-style, and Mangekyo Sharingan abilities. It shouldn't act as if he has no strength to fight back. There is a very critical problem. This guy doesn't have a weapon. Luhan couldn't take it any longer. Idiot, bring at least one weapon. Luhan murmured, and threw Hiraishin Kue with a flick of his hand. Kai. Hiraishin shot directly behind Senju Senrao. Luhan took out the blade of Kurigakure from his space backpack and threw it out in the blink of an eye, saying, "Use my knife." Senju Senluo rushed to the edge of the Kurigakure and grabbed it, and he returned with a knife, slashing it with the beheading sword that was chasing after him. Boom! The shock wave erupted, and Boiling Rain, who was holding the beheading sword, was blasted out. Then strength. Boiling Rain will not work. This knife is really easy to use. Senju grinned and rushed towards Boiling Yu. Kai. In midair, Luhan, who grabbed Hiraishin Kunai, threw his hand out again, and this time, he went straight to Mundogen. Luhan's blood is boiling, a level 55 diamond boss. Now there is a chance to fight him alone and kill him. If successful, it is the first kill. Chapter 0328-Cut Down Trees. With Luhan's hand strength, he can easily throw the speed of Kuwu's bullets. Hiraishin was within 20 meters of Mundogen, but he saw Mundogen flung his hand and threw out the kunai. With a pop, the kunai collided. Tree. Call. Hiraishin Kuwu was about to shoot into the tree. Luhan appeared 2 meters away from Hiraishin Kuwu, twisted his waist, reached out and grabbed Hiraishin Kuwu, and the whole person rolled into the air again and fell on the tree branch. This guy, Luhan muttered, his heart twitched. The good technique of Hiraishin was restrained. Of course, this wasn't Hiraishin's problem, it was just that Luhan was not a master. If Luhan had more kunai with the Hiraishin technique and threw a dozen of them, Mundogen would definitely not be able to knock them all off. However, no if. You're always running around, and you don't dare to fight me. Why don't we just watch the battle here? Not far from the tree, Mundogen squinted at Luhan, full of sarcasm. You don't interfere, I won't intervene. wait until Master Boiling You kills those guys, and then kill you, how about that? Mundogan's words were illogical, but he was actually deliberately disgusting Luhan. Hey, Luhan gave a deep smile, his eyes flashing under the mask. I don't need to intervene, that's it. Oh, are you so afraid of death? Mundogan said in surprise, his face even more mocking. Well, I'm afraid of death. Luhan nodded, and as soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and threw Hiraishin Kuu into the sky. Kai, call. Hiraishin Kunai went up hundreds of meters in the sky. Luhan flashed and appeared beside Hiraishin Kunai, grabbed Hiraishin Kunai, and threw it to the south. This time, Hiraishin Kunwu was thrown more than a kilometer away by Luhan. Luhan disappeared into the air. Mundogan, who looked up, was stunned, and then his face changed greatly. Want to run? Mundogan shouted angrily, dodged and disappeared into the tree, and after 2 breaths, he reappeared on the tree. With a gloomy expression on his face, he suddenly hesitated. Chase. Can't seem to catch up. Mundogan doesn't know how many chakras Hongguang has, but one thing is certain, Hongguang can use Hiraishin's ability to escape completely. Every time you use Hiraishin for teleportation, comparatively speaking, you don't need too much chakra. In fact, Mundogan wanted to chase, because Boiling You had told him just now, don't let Hongguang escape. The reason why Mundogan hesitated was entirely out of the combat consciousness of a troop leader. Hongguang escaped, then, Mundogan can go to help Boiling You. Boiling You can press 3 people to fight. If Mundogan joins, it can be said that he will win. On the battlefield, Boiling You was still chasing Senju Senrao, but he changed his strategy. Before, he had been pestering Senju Senluo in melee combat, bullying Senju Senluo without weapons, but after Senju Senluo got the blade of Kurigakure, the situation was reversed, and the cold weapons were fighting. Boiling Rain was not Senju Senluo's opponent at all. Senju Senluo is from the Senju clan, born with a huge amount of chakra, and he is a test subject, with extraordinary strength. Compared with the fighting consciousness of using a knife, the two can't tell the difference between the two. Naturally, the stronger one has an advantage. Boiling You knows how to exploit strengths and avoid weaknesses. Cold weapons can't win, and he must always be on guard against Orochimaru and Hyuga Heiong's attacks. Naturally, he will not let this situation continue, so he has returned to the original fighting state. Use your skills to hunt down Senju Senra. Senju flew to the sky frequently. If it wasn't for Orochimaru and Hyuga Heiong, he might have been trapped by the Boiling Rain. In that case, he would have to work hard. On the edge of the battlefield, Mundogan thought for a moment while standing on a tree branch. My lord, Hongguang has run away. Mundogan shouted, unable to make a choice. He simply left the problem to Boiling You. Hongguang wants to fight you alone. Boiling You, who had just dodged Orochimaru's attack, responded very quickly, go, kill him for me. Boiling You is absolutely sure that Hongguang won't run. Hongguang will run. He ran long ago. He didn't run before, and now the outcome is unpredictable. It is even more impossible for him to run. Pretending to run away is nothing more than to lure people over and fight alone. A few kilometers away from the battlefield, by the lake. Why didn't this guy come here? Luhan stood on the big rock, frowning slightly. He drove the insight map, which showed that the 2 Yuhi points were 4 kilometers away to the north. Luhan didn't wait too long, and the little Yuhi point on the insight map began to move, quickly approaching the center of the map. It's still here. Luhan's heart was settled, and he jumped up with his knees bent. He jumped up to the nearest tree first, and he returned with a knife. Immediately disappeared. A few seconds after Luhan disappeared, the tree body began to dislocate from the knife edge, and then there was a roar. Luhan deliberately left clues that could be easily traced by Mundogan. A clue like cutting down a big tree. Not to mention Mundogan, even an ordinary person can easily find it. Not long after, the strong wind blew in. Mundogan appeared by the lake. His eyes swept to the big tree that was cut down, and the corner of his mouth evoked a sneer. Obviously pretending to escape, but leaving such obvious traces. Do you have a brain? Boom. There was another roar from the front. Mondogan looked up and disappeared like the wind. Time and time again, after cutting down the first big tree, Luhan would cut another tree every few hundred meters. He kept attracting Mondogan, and Mondogan followed him all the time. In this way, the two people are getting farther and farther from the battlefield. After 10 minutes. In a basin 40 kilometers away from the battlefield, with the roar, another big tree was cut down. Not long after, Mondogan, who came galloping with the wind, stopped in front of the fallen tree and waited indifferently. He was about to lose his patience. Mondogan didn't notice that in the grass under his feet, a black kunai with a special technique was quietly inserted into the soil. Bastard, why don't you cut it? Mondogan said impatiently after waiting for a while. Call. The wind suddenly appeared. A terrifying sense of crisis will shroud Mondogan. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan, slammed into Mondogan's back. Chapter 0329-Immortal Mondogan. Everything came so fast. It's not his fault that Mondogan, who has the ability to move at super high speed, can't dodge it. No matter how fast he is, he can't be faster than Hiraishin. Luhan flashed behind Mondogan. Almost at the same time, LV9 Ultimate Rasengan bombarded out. The chakra that was spinning frantically brought a gust of wind. Mondogan felt it right away. He felt the wind and also felt the danger of death. Almost subconsciously, he wanted to trigger his master's instantaneous technique to escape, but he couldn't. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan caused a strong spatial shock. At such a close distance, unless Mondogan's master's level instantaneous technique, otherwise, it would be impossible to teleport in a vibrating space environment. He can't do it, he can't dodge it at all. Damn, Mondogan roared, and his whole body chakra exploded. He had already smelled the smell of death, so at this moment, he didn't pay any attention to it. Mondogan has an extra layer of aqua armor on his body. Boom. LV9 Rasengan slammed Mondogan on the back, instantly blasting him away, and he disappeared in front of Luhan faster than the cannonball was fired. Boom, boom, boom. There was a sound like a burst of cannons, and Mondogan who flew out did not know how many trees were broken, and the whole forest seemed to be penetrated by him. After flying 200 or 300 meters away, a rock that was smashed into the ground diagonally, creating a long gully on the ground, and tumbling more than 10 meters, and finally in front of a tree with a crooked neck. Stop. Not dead. Luhan, who jumped back to avoid the aftermath of Rasengan's explosion, was stunned for a moment. The insight map showed that Yuhi was 300 meters away and still existed, and Luhan did not receive the first kill of the level 55 diamond boss. Beep. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan. The power is stronger than the big ball Rasengan used by Naruto in the original work. It is not a problem to break a mountain. Mondogan was not killed. This guy. Luhan appeared near Hiraishin Kunai in a flash, and threw Hiraishin Kunai with a flick of his hand. In front of the tree with crooked neck, Mondogan struggled to stand up. His breath went up and down. When it was low, it seemed to disappear, and when it was high, it was very violent. Not only did Mondogan not die, he didn't even break his clothes, and he didn't even have any blood on his body, he was covered in cracks. He was shrouded in a layer of translucent enchantment, and the shape of the enchantment was a thin layer of water, clinging to the surface of his body, which made him look a bit crystal clear. The water-colored barrier is full of cracks, and Mondogan is also full of cracks. Han Guang, I must kill, die. Mondogan struggled, and stood up trembling little by little, his mouth trembling, make an inaudible sound. Kai. Hiraishin Kuwu flew over, and Luhan immediately appeared, grabbed Kuwu, and stood more than 10 meters in front of Mondogan. In fact, Luhan could have gone directly to Mondogan, and he could understand Mondogan with a single knife. But the sudden palpitations made Luhan choose to stop first. Ultimate in Mondogan. This guy is obviously useless, but he still has the ability to hurt Luhan. It is undeniable that Mundogen is an extremely powerful ninja. A ninja of this strength will be terrifying to counterattack before death. What kind of technique is this? Lu Han looked at Mundogen, who was full of fissures, and the fissure enchantment on his body, his mind fluctuating. It seems to be some kind of defensive ninjutsu, but it can resist the attack of LV9 Ultimate Rasengan, and Lu Han can't understand it. How could Mundogen master such pervert's jutsu? Be a ghost. Don't let it go. Mundogen was like a walking corpse. His posture was twisted, but his eyes were fixed on Lu Han. There have been many ninjas who have said this before being killed by the enemy. Do you think it will be useful? Lu Han said hoarsely and indifferently. Sin. Mundogen's voice was completely abnormal, but he said intermittently. Lu Han suddenly stared, and looked at Mundogen in surprise. Mundogen is changing. There are more wrinkles on his face, the skin is getting rougher, the color of the hair is getting lighter, turning gray. He is getting old. Life-forbidden technique. What kind of technique did he start? Lu Han's heart shook, and he suddenly remembered one thing, that is the origin of Mundogen. No one knows where he came from. Before he took refuge in Kurigakure village, he already an elite jonin in his 20s, who was an unknown before. Kill, punish, evil, wheel. Meng Duoin was getting older and older, and he had turned into an old man in his 60s or 70s in a blink of an eye. Ding. Remind Subversive 3665 that you are being attacked by a curse. The elf's prompt sounded suddenly in Lu Han's ears. Lu Han's face changed dramatically, his eyes widened like bull's eyes. Mundogen, he's not talking nonsense. He is cursing. Call. Lu Han flashed in front of Mundogen in a flash, and the blade of Jinghong slashed down like thunder. Boom! Mundogen was knocked out again, but he still didn't suffer the slightest damage, and the enchantment on his body completely blocked the attack of Jinghong blade. Incredible defense. This is a curse technique that can only be activated at the cost of life. When you activate this technique, you will have absolute defense yourself. I can't believe it. Thoughts flashed through Lu Han's mind like lightning. Lu Han caught up with the old Mundogen who flew out backwards. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan is formed in an instant. Boom! Mundogen was sent flying again, but he was still unharmed. However, there are more cracks on his body and more cracks in the enchantment. It's not absolute defense, there's no absolute defense at all. Lu Han knew this. He threw out Horaishin Kue, caught up with Mundogen again, and raised his right arm. This time, Lu Han clenched his fist. 80% of the chakra of the whole body is poured into the arm, and the ultimate blessing of physical magic, heavy punching. Boom! Clap lala! Lu Han heard a broken sound. Chapter 0330-first killed a level 55 diamond boss. The reason why Lu Han uses strange power instead of LV9 Ultimate Rasengan is because the two powers are released in different ways. Lu Hanning unleashed a punch with a strange physical force, which is not as destructive as the LV9 Ultimate Rasengan, but the attack of physical magic power is more pure. Although it is a physical technique, the effect it produces is equivalent to a physical attack. As for the defensive barrier on Mundogen, it seems that only a powerful physical attack can destroy it, because Rasengan can't polish the slightest scratch on it. Only the impact of Rasengan's explosion can cause some damage to the defensive barrier. At this moment, the flow of time seems to slow down. Mundogen, who had no power to fight back, was struck by Lu Han's strange force. He didn't fly out this time. He was pinned to the ground in a weird posture. The water-colored defensive barrier on his body was attacked by LV9 Ultimate Rasengan twice before, and it was full of cracks. More finer cracks spread rapidly, spreading all over the water-colored defensive barrier, and then shattering. In the time and space where time was slow, countless crystal fragments flew and splashed around. Mundogen shrugged back, and his trembling lips finally stopped. He looked like he was incomparably old in his 80s or 90s. Still staring at Lu Han. Bang, bang, bang. A blood flower exploded on Mondogan's body, his clothes and weapons were all shattered, and his cracked skin also shattered together. He became a blood man, and there was no one on his body. Good skin. Bang kai. The last sound came from Mondogan's heart. His back heart was completely torn, his heart, lungs, liver and spleen. It seemed that all the internal organs collapsed and flew out from the opening on his back at the same time. There is a hole the size of a human head on his torso, enough to kill anyone with penetrating injuries. His physical magic power should have shattered him directly, but when he was attacked, he was protected by an enchantment, so this effect appeared. The eyes that were staring at Lu Han finally darkened. Wow! The shining golden light rose into the sky, like fireworks blooming. More than 400 falling objects spewed from Mondogan's body like Izumi, and scattered in the air more than 10 meters high, and then all turned into golden light and flew into the sky. Into Lu Han's body. Ding! Congratulations to Subversive 3665 for his first kill of a level 55 diamond boss. The elf's voice sounded in Lu Han's ears. Ended. Lu Han maintained the posture of punching and attacking, his face paled and panting violently. In front of him, Mondogan's body was still standing. It was no longer visible that it was Mondogan, it was a blurred human figure. The presence. Successful first kill. First kill of a level 55 diamond boss. I succeeded. Ha ha ha, I succeeded. Lu Han was so excited that he couldn't help laughing out loud. Kill Mondogan. Taken together, the harvest from this kill will be more than the sum of the previous harvests. Kill a Mondogan, 10 times the explosion rate. But it is equivalent to killing 10 level 50 gold bosses for the first time at the same time. Kill 10 Woolly Ghost 7 at the same time. Oh, by the way, elf. The excited Lu Han suddenly thought of one thing and shouted, am I cursed? No, Mondogan curses the subversive at the cost of his life. If he completes the Matsuri of life, he will complete the curse, but he is killed by the protagonist in the end, and the curse is forcibly terminated if he does not complete the Matsuri of life. It's hard to explain. That's good, that's good. Lu Han let go of his dazed heart. Curse. There is no more terrifying ability than this. Although Lu Han has mastered a lot of magic and is powerful, he can't fight the curse at all. The LV9 Ultimate Rasengan is very powerful, but in the face of the curse, even if he has the power, he can't use it. Lu Han's ability seems to have no way to go. Check and balance the curse. Lu Han never thought that this battle would end in this way. Before Lu Han kept seducing Mondogan, he cut down hundreds of trees and moved dozens of kilometers. Of course he had a purpose. Hiraishin Kuwu near the tree every time he cut down the tree. He was giving a chance to kill Mondogan with one blow, and this required Mondogan's cooperation. Mondogan must take the initiative to appear near Hiraishin Kunai, so that Lu Han could instantly appear beside him. Lu Han tried nearly 100 times, but each time it was that Mondogan was too far away from Kuwu. Lu Han had to cut down a big tree a few hundred meters away. After Mondogan ran away, Lu Han used Hiraishin to appear at Kuwu. Next to him, then detour to the front of Mondogan, and put the kunai again. No fluke. No coincidence. It was all Lu Han's painstaking design and arrangement. Time and time again, Lu Han finally created an excellent opportunity, and successfully hit LV9 Ultimate Rasengan on Mondogan, but he never expected. He almost got hit by Mondogan's curse. What is the origin of this guy? In the entire ninja world, there are very few people who have the ability to curse. Lu Han thought, suppressing the excitement in his heart, and pressing his hand on Mondogan's bloody head superior. Ding! Deprivation failed. Ding! Deprivation of success, get the Book of Memory. Ding! Deprivation of success, get the Book of Evil Words. Ding! Deprivation failed. Ding! Deprivation failed. 5 deprivations, 2 successes. Because the explosion rate of the first kill of the diamond boss is close to the full value, in theory, Lu Han can obtain all of Mondogan's abilities. The Book of Evil Words is. Lu Han was stunned. He knows that Mundogan has an extraordinary memory, but he can never forget it, so it is not surprising to get the Book of Memory, but what the hell is the Book of Evil Words? Luhan took the scroll of the Book of Evil Words out of his space backpack, hesitated for a moment, and threw it back. Can't use it now. The boiling rain has not been resolved yet. Luhan knows that the use of such scrolls usually takes a long time to receive, which will delay things. Go back and have a look first. Mundogan's body to ashes, then turned around and threw out Horaishin Kue. Chapter-321-Hold on. For Master Horaishin Luhan, it didn't take too long to move dozens of kilometers. Not long after. Under the high mountains, the ruined battlefield has expanded a lot. Looking down from the sky, you can see that there is a pit, with a radius of several hundred meters in the middle of the battlefield. It is not an ordinary pit, but a super corrosion effect. The pit attacked by the high temperature rain. And not far from this pit, there is an extra lake, which is a lake created by Sweden water-style ninjutsu. Orochimaru, Senju Senra, and Hyuga Heian are still fighting the boiling rain. The clothes on the four of them were a bit tattered. Boiling Yu did not crush the strength of the three of them. Overall, they only had the upper hand. The battle was back and forth, and he was also suppressed at times. Sweden water-style wave Shigemaru. On the lake, Orochimaru completed the hand seal, and the water in front of him surged up quickly, forming a huge water ball with a diameter of more than 5 meters, which rolled rapidly on the water and hit the boiling rain ahead. 8 trigrams break the wind. Other side, Hyuga Heian turned into a glimpse on the water and went straight to the boiling rain, with one hand forward, fingertips like thorns, but there was no wind noise. The two attacked boiling rain. Senju Senrao, who had just escaped the attack of the boiling rain more than 10 seconds ago, also swooped down and raised the sickle in his hand. A bunch of useless bastards. Boy Yubing sneered coldly, clasped his hands together, changed another gesture, and completed the hand seal. Sweden water-style super self-water whip. Boom, 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 boom. In an instant, the water surface around Boiling Yu exploded at the same time, and water whips with a thickness of 50 or 60 meters were lifted out of the water, dancing and beating wildly in all directions, including the sky tens of meters upward. Within striking range. The power of each water whip is enough to shatter rocks. S-level Sweden water-style ninjutsu, a powerful forbidden technique that integrates offense and defense. If you perform this technique in the face of an encirclement, you can absolutely sweep and kill all the surrounding enemies. Orochimaru sent out an A-level Sweden water-style attack, and the heavy pill was quickly shattered. He reacted extremely quickly, and disappeared into the water in a blink of an eye. 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven. On the other side, Hyuga Heian quickly changed his moves and spun up. Kaden fire style dragon fire giant flame. Senju Senluo, who swooped halfway, turned over and rushed up again, quickly completed the hand seal, and opened his mouth to protrude a huge fire dragon head downward. This lunatic, Hyuga Heian, who cast revolving heaven, cursed secretly. He was naturally scolding Senju Senluo. Senju Senluo's sense of cooperation and combat is very poor, and any attack will spread to Orochimaru and Hyuga Heian. At this time, Senju Senluo's attack has already hurt Hyuga Heian. Although it won't break revolving heaven, it will make Hyuga Heian consume more chakra. Ninja water snake transformation. Orochimaru, who has a strong sense of cooperation and combat, discovered the dilemma of Hyuga Heian, and appeared in front of revolving heaven out of thin air. Whoa! The huge water snake raised its head on the lake, temporarily resisting the attack of the water whip. Withdraw! Orochimaru screamed. Hyuga ended revolving heaven in an instant, and the colleague who burst backward hit the water with a palm, and the whole person suddenly flew like a cannonball. Senju Senro's attack also fell at this moment. Boom! Boom! The confrontation between the S-class Kaden fire style and the S-class Sweden water style caused a big explosion, and the high-temperature water vapor formed in an instant, erupted in all directions, and quickly filled the air. Boiling Rain's supernatural water whip can't resist Senju Senluo's dragon fire giant flames at all, because the supernatural water whip is not purely defensive ninjutsu, and its attack is not single. The roar continued for 3 breaths, the fog began to decrease, and after 4 breaths, the fog disappeared, and the fire completely shrouded the lake, and the terrifying high temperature that was enough to melt rocks instantly erupted on the battlefield. Orochimaru and Hyuga Heian had already dodged, and they all retreated to a distance of 100 meters. Both of them were breathing heavily. Hyuga Heian's face was still pale, and Orochimaru. His face was originally white, and he couldn't see anything at this time. But his forehead was already stretched with blue veins, and his hands were shaking slightly uncontrollably. Obviously, he was also extremely tired. Wow! The flames dissipated, and the entire lake disappeared, leaving only a large crater. All the lake water was evaporated and the boiling rain disappeared. Be careful, this guy is still alive. Senju Senrao, who was flying 100 meters in the air, reminded in a strange tone, and shook his head and glanced at Orochimaru and Hyuga Heian. He had the strongest sensing ability, so he was sure that Boiling Yu was not dead. In the previous attack. Call. Just as Senju Senluo's voice fell, Boiling Rain appeared behind him out of thin air, and the beheading sword fell like a thunderbolt. A kilometer away, in the forest. Luhan rushed back, gradually slowed down, and finally stopped half a kilometer away from the battlefield. He jumped on a tree branch more than 30 meters high, and looked at the battlefield from a distance. In fact, Luhan had insight into the map. Before, when he was 4 or 5 kilometers away from the battlefield, he had already judged the situation on the battlefield. The insight map shows 1 big Yuhi dot, along with 3 blue dots. They are all moving, which means that no one has lost their combat power due to injuries, and no one has died. It looks like they are evenly matched. Lu Hanyao, who was standing on the tree, looked at the situation, that is. Hyuga and Yang's chakra consumption is too high, and Orochimaru's chakra should have been consumed by half. No need to worry about Senluo's chakra. I just don't know how many chakras in Boiling Rain. If it drags on like this, if Hyuga Heian chakra bottoms out and there is 1 less person. Luhan didn't go to join the battle immediately because he was considering whether to count the spoils of killing Mundoan first. In fact, on the way here, Luhan just took them out from the space backpack and put them back in 1 by 1. After counting some, he counted 1 type of spiritual potion, a total of 59 bottles. Wait a minute, they can hold on for the time being. Luhan made a decision after thinking for a while, then flipped his wrist, and there were 2 more scrolls in his hand. They are all S-rank scrolls. Master of Mundogan. Most of them must be sold for ingots, but if there is a particularly powerful or special technique, mastering it immediately will definitely help in the battle. Chapter 0332-Break the Balance. 2 S-rank scrolls. S-level art, Sweetened Water Style, Multi-Screw Blast. S-level art, Futon Wind Style, with the wind. There are 2 S-level techniques, one is Sweetened Water Style, and the other is Futon Wind Style. Because Luhan did not use it, he could only guess its effect from the name. After 2 finished scrolls, take out 2 more. Luhan quickly counted, because different grades and different types of scrolls have different appearances, so Luhan can selectively take out scrolls. It took a few minutes. Luhan looked at a total of 16 scrolls. 5 S-rank techniques. 11 A-level techniques. The drop rate of Mundo Andi items is 10 times higher than that of the first golden boss. However, this does not mean that you can get 10 times the number of advanced scrolls from Mundogan, because Mundogan simply does not have as many advanced techniques as Master. Mundogan may only have mastered 5 S-level techniques, so it is difficult to obtain the 6th S-level forbidden technique whether it is 10 times the explosion rate or 100 times the explosion rate. Although the first kill will get the skill of the killed boss but not the master, the probability of obtaining that skill has nothing to do with the high-level skill explosion rate. It is also possible that Luhan obtained the B, level or even C-level skills of Mundo Anway's master. S-level art, futon, wind style, ascension to heaven. S-rank art, secret art, magic god spirit outfit spell. S-level technique, sweetened water style, super waterfall technique. A-level art, futon, wind style, Wujian duo wan. A-level art, futon, wind style, crush. A-level art, futon, wind style, vacuum realm. A-level art, futon, wind style, cut. A-level technique, sweetened water style, great waterfall technique. A-level art, sweetened water style, super kiba art. A-level art, sweetened water style, giant wave cannon. A-level art, Nympha Iga flying flash. A-level technique, the secret technique, the technique of blurring multiple shadows. A-level technique, secret technique and micro-check technique. A-level technique, psychic and magic break. This, what the hell? Lu Han read all the 16 scrolls once, and the whole person was blinded. The only thing he could see was that Mundogan was good at futon, wind style, and sweetened water style, ninjutsu, other. Most don't know it. For a while, Lu Han didn't know how to choose. He didn't look at the B-level technique, it couldn't deal with the boiling rain, and he didn't look at some very important things, because Lu Han couldn't use it for a while, such as ingots and diamond badges. The magic god's magic spell. Lu Han held the most special S-level magic scroll, and his eyes flashed. Judging from the name alone, this magic should be the curse that Mundogan finally used. Lu Han hesitated. This technique is undoubtedly powerful, but the price is too high, and it consumes lifespan to death. Everyone is dead, what is the use of having a stronger defense? What's the use of having a strong curse ability? Thinking about it, Lu Han threw the scroll back into his space backpack. He didn't use it, nor would he recycle it. Lu Han had already planned to check the specific effect of this technique before deciding how to deal with it when he had time to enter the subverter space. Spirituality, magic break. Lu Hanyu picked up another very special scroll, and without thinking much, he started to study. Because it's only an A-level technique, Lu Han doesn't worry about whether it's wasteful or not. Lu Han didn't think about learning the magic god's magic spell right away because it was an S-level technique, and it was Mundogan's ultimate stunt. Unable to determine its value in the subversive space, Lu Han is afraid of waste. If it is an unused technique, if you don't recover the ingots, it will be a waste. A-level art doesn't need to think so much, even if you don't use it, you won't lose much ingots. The moment he opened the scroll, a huge amount of information entered Lu Han's mind, everything about spirituality and magic break. It turned out to be Lu Han, who has mastered psychic and demonic break, blinked twice, prop psychic. ... On the battlefield, the roar continued. Cadent fire style, great engraved flame seal. Senju Senro, who was flying in the air, completed the complex hand seal, opened his mouth and spit out flames with Doden, earth-style, chakra breath fluctuations. The flames quickly dispersed and expanded, melting for the burning square rock, bombarded it downwards. Like a meteorite falling from the sky. This lunatic, Orochimaru, who was about to perform the forbidden technique, scolded in a low voice, retreated violently, and completed the complex deprinting in one breath. Grabbed Hyuga Haeyong not far from the other side of boiling rain, and disappeared with him. This bastard, Boyu is already a little crazy, and it's a headache to fight Senju Senro. If it's one-on-one, Senju Senrao is not his opponent at all, but the problem is, it's not one-on-one, one-on-three, Orochimaru and Hyuga Haeyong always affects Boiling Yu, which prevents Boiling Rain from chasing Senju Senra smoothly. This also led to the fact that Senju Senluo can fly to the sky again and again, making his moves again and again. No way, who let people chakrado? Boiling Rain is exhausted. At this time, Boiling Rain used too many instant body forbidden techniques, which had already caused a lot of damage to his body, and this kind of damage had reached a critical point affecting his combat effectiveness. Secret technique Heavenly Lock Traction. Boiling Yu, who was standing on the ground, clasped his hands together, and then struck out his right palm. The mantra in his palm spun frantically, emitting black light, and the black light burst and spread, quickly forming an extremely huge net, similar to the structure of a spider web, but with a diameter of more than 100 meters. The web is composed of dark chains of curse marks. Boom! The big engraved flame seal bombarded the giant net of the curse and it exploded in an instant. The terrifying flames and gravel swept all around, but could not spread to the bottom. They were all blocked by the giant net of the curse and the rain. Heavenly lock traction. It was blocked. And at this moment, Boiling Yu's face suddenly turned a lot paler, and the chakra consumption was too great. When Mundogan comes back, you will all be dead. Boiling Yu thought very clearly. Although he has been pressing on 3 people to fight, he is better than chakra and can't consume Senju Senluo. At this time, Senju Senluo still has enough chakra, but both Hyuga Haeyang and Orochimaru have insufficient chakra, and Boiling Rain also consumes too much chakra. The two sides are still evenly matched. As soon as Mundogan returns, the balance will be broken. Boiling Yu raised his hand to maintain it, and he had to wait for the explosion above to end before he could lift the defense. At this time, laugh. A wisp of black light burst out from the distant forest, 8,000 meters in an instant. Until the Boiling Rain. Boiling Yu's pupils contracted violently. Comes the Hiraishin Kunai. Chapter 0333-Escape Boiling Rain. Damn! Boiling Yu shouted angrily. His right hand was still on the defensive net of the curse mark. His left hand was raised rapidly. The curse mark in his palm spun frantically, bursting out with an extremely violent breath. He did not shoot a black light to restrain Hiraishin Kunai. He did in this state. It is no longer possible to use that trick. Call. Hiraishin was so close to the Boiling Rain that Luhan appeared out of thin air. The wind blew up. The hand of the mysterious figure in black robe lit up. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan took shape in an instant, and bombarded towards the Boiling Rain. Luhan's control is still not enough. If he has enough control, he can completely control himself to appear behind Boiling Yu, but now, he is appearing in front of Boiling Yu. Cold light. Boiling Rain shouted out hysterically, and his left hand slammed out. Boom, boom. The LV9 Ultimate Rasengan collided with the black Uzumaki shot by the Boiling Rain. The roar shook the sky, and the terrifying shock wave broke out in the direction of Luhan. Over the Boiling Rain, his black Uzumaki actually blocked the LV9 Ultimate Rasengan. The shock wave generated by the duel was going in 3 directions, but Boiling Rain was fine. Roar. Explode. The smoke and the flash covered everything. Boiling Yu felt it, and the cold light disappeared in front of him. It was too easy, because Hiraishin Kunwu flew past Boiling Yu just now, and Luhan didn't catch it. When the shock wave broke out, Hiraishin Kunwu had already flown to a farther place, and Luhan appeared out of thin air in Hiraishin Kunwu. Beside. How strong is this guy? This is only a level 60 white silver boss, if it's gold. Or level 70. Luhan's heart was fluctuating. He thought he was already strong, and he killed Mundogan before, and he also showed with strong strength and strategic ability. Just now, Luhan successfully used Hiraishin to get to Boiling Yu's side, and launched the strongest melee attack LV9 Ultimate Rasengan. But, it still didn't hurt Boiling Rain. Boiling Yu was equal to one person, and at the same time blocked the big moves of Senju Senluo and Luhan. The Boiling Rain is a little too pervert. Luhan couldn't imagine how strong Sarutobi Hiruzen was in his prime. Sarutobi Hiruzen also has some evil secret techniques, forbidden technique, and he is a grandmaster in the 5 elements of fire, water, earth, thunder and wind. How strong will it be? Boom. Whoa. The sky, Senju Senluo's large engraved flame seal attack finally ended, and Boiling Rain issued a huge curse seal net defense and disappeared. Where Boiling Rain was located, there was smoke and dust billowing in a radius of 100 meters, and there was a lot of sand falling from the sky, obscuring everyone's sight. Hyuga Haeyang and Orochimaru are far in the south, Luhan is far in the north, Senju Senra is in the sky. All 4 of them are looking at the smoky battlefield. They couldn't see Boiling Rain, but they could feel Boiling Rain's violent aura that went up and down. He is there. Woohoo _. The strong wind blew away the smoke and dust on the battlefield. Boiling U was still standing in its original position. The ground under his feet was full of cracks, and his face was already pale. His gray robe looked extremely tattered, and his eyes were covered with bloodshots. Boiling U turned slightly to the side, staring at Lu Han while paying attention to other directions. He watched and didn't speak. Don't look at it, Mundogan is dead, Lu Han said hoarsely, desperate. Damn you, Boiling U said in a low voice, his eyes swept away again, damn you all. Just after he finished speaking, Boiling U's face suddenly changed, his brows were twisted into pimples, his shoulders twitched, and his head bowed to spit something. But he pursed his lips, his cheeks bulging high, and he seemed to bite Kiba tightly. However, a trace of blood still inevitably appeared on the corner of his mouth. He vomited blood. After fighting for so long, no one has ever been able to hurt him a single hair, and no attack can fall on him. In fact, he is not so strong, he is not Ghost Lantern, nor Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the reason why he can do it too. Because he used too much forbidden technique. He has been studying forbidden technique for half his life, and there are too many masters. It was because he used too much forbidden technique, which caused him to consume a lot of chakra, and also caused him to hurt himself. Mainly because of Lu Han's last blow. He had to guard. I have to use the forbidden technique that hurts myself. Ha, ha 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 ha, he can't do it. He can't do it. My dear. Well done. Ha ha ha. Senju Senluo in the sky laughed wildly, his voice sharp and weird. Lu Han couldn't help but look up and turn to Byakugan to Senju. Who is your dear? Call. Senju Senra turned into a Yuhi light, swooped down, and headed straight for the Boiling Rain. He moved. The others followed suit. The four of them rushed towards Boiling Rain one after another. Bastard. Boiling U bit Kiba with a low voice, and disappeared with a flick of the figure. Boiling Rain disappeared directly on the battlefield. Senju slashed to the ground with a knife, knocking the ground out of a deep pit, and the others ran to the edge of the pit, and all stopped. They all turned around and looked around on alert. I can't feel him, this guy ran away. Orochimaru said coldly. Hyuga Heian opened Byakugan and looked around. A coward, actually blocked his chakra aura. Senju Senluo shook his head and said, he could sense the chakra fluctuations in the far distance, but he couldn't feel the Boiling Rain at this time. Really ran. Boiling Rain is decisive. The main thing is that he is not like a death battle. If he fights desperately, he may kill one or two people, but he himself, even if he does not die, I am afraid that he will have incurable injuries. 4 kilometers to the northwest, he's there. Lu Han, who had insight into the map, said hoarsely, and glanced at Hyuga Heian. Hyuga Heian immediately turned his head to look northwest and said, I see. Lu Han looked at Senju Senluo again. Senju Senluo blinked, as if he didn't understand the meaning of Lu Han's eyes. In fact, he understood, but he was neurotic and his eyes were strange. It's over. Hyuga Heian breathed a sigh of relief. Is it over? Lu Han asked. Of course not. Senju Senro grinned nervously. Why don't you chase? Hey, you guys. Hyuga Heian was stunned for a moment, and hurriedly shouted, don't chase. We have different speeds, it's impossible to catch up with him at the same time, then. Chapter 0334-Chase Boiling Rain. You care about me. Senju Senro interrupted Hyuga Heian's words, squinting at Hyuga Heian, looking very unfriendly. This, sir, that's not what I meant. Hyuga Heian quickly lowered his head. He saw Senju Senluo's strength, and Senju Senluo knew Lu Han, so he presumed Senju Senluo was Anbu's person. I just think that with the strength of the few of us, we should be able to beat Boyu at this time. Boyu has already been injured, but Boyu escapes very fast. If we chase, there must be a first and a second. If the two of them catch up with him first, they are not his opponents, it would be dangerous, and we are not sure when the large force of Kurigakure will arrive. If they meet, I am afraid. Hyuga Haeyong finally shook his head. It's quite reasonable. Senju Senluo shook his head, as if agreeing with Hyuga Haeyong's words, but looked at Lu Han and asked, "Are you chasing?" "Chase." Lu Han nodded without hesitation. While your illness is killing you, Lu Han doesn't want to miss such an opportunity. Whoosh. Senju Senluo didn't say any more. He rose directly into the sky, Mangekyo Sharingan in his right eye twirled frantically, and after reaching a height of 1,000 meters, he broke through the air to the northwest. Lu Han glanced at the sky, and immediately threw out Horaishin Kuwu, flashed to the northwest. Lu Han didn't say anything to Orochimaru or Hyuga Haeyong. He is the deputy captain of Anbu and has no right to order Orochimaru and Hyuga Haeyong, and now chasing Boiling Rain is indeed a great risk. Lu Han chooses to chase, but he will not force it. Orochimaru and Hyuga Haeyong chase together. They have to choose whether they chase or not. Hyuga Haeyong half opened his mouth, and when he saw Lu Han disappeared, he sighed and looked at Orochimaru again. Lord Haeyong, chase it. Orochimaru glanced at Hyuga Haeyong and said. Okay. Hyuga Haeyong could only nod. 4 of them, 3 of them are militants. Hyuga Haeyong is calm, but he can't control who the other 3 are chasing. He naturally can't retreat at this time. Hyuga Haeyong will naturally not forget that what happened today was caused by himself, and Han Guang came to save him. Therefore, if others want to fight, he should accompany him to the end. In the vast mountains and forests, the mysterious figure of the black robe flickered again and again, and Horaishin was thrown out again and again. Lu Han opened the insight map to the maximum range. Because of the delay in talking before, Boiling Rain had disappeared within the range of the insight map, so Lu Han was a little blind to find it, and kept moving to the northwest. However, there is no need to worry about finding Boiling Rain. Senju Senluo can sense that as long as Boiling Rain emits a trace of chakra fluctuations, Senju Senluo can determine its location, and if Boiling Rain wants to escape quickly, it is impossible to hide his chakra fluctuations all the time. After 10 minutes. Call. A whirlwind swirled around Lu Han, and the figure of the blood robe appeared out of thin air. Lu Han subconsciously took precautions, and his spirit immediately relaxed a lot. Senju Senluo came. I found it. Senju pointed to the north and said, 20 kilometers away, the guy has stopped, it should be healing. This bastard is running fast. Lu Han sighed, looked at Senju Senluo, his eyes flashed. You bastard, why didn't you rush up and fight? I can't beat it. I'll die. Senju Senluo said with a yin and yang peculiar air, glanced at Lu Han. I'm not stupid, you can go to death with me. Senju Senluo is not stupid, just a little mentally ill. I really don't know how to speak, what is it to die? Lu Han said angrily, is he still there? Yes. Senju Senluo nodded, he could still sense it. Well, if it's the 2 of us. Lu Han thought for a while, his eyes suddenly widened, as if thinking of something. He paused a little, nodded, looked at Senju Senluo and lowered his voice subconsciously, we're like this. Quote. In the far west of the southwest mountain range of the country of Vortex, it is like a giant tortoise under the round low mountain, in the dark forest. The pale-faced figure in a tattered gray robe sat cross-legged on the bluestone, holding the hand seal movement with both hands, and faint chakra fluctuations rippling throughout his body. Boiling Rain. He hasn't suffered such a loss for more than 10 years. In other words, since the last Ninja World War, he has never been so embarrassed. He was besieged, frequently used forbidden technique, was injured, and fled hundreds of kilometers in one breath. What he can't figure out the most now is how could Mundogen die so easily? So fast, and the cold light so strong. Not that strong at all. Before Mundogen came, Buyu had already played against Han Guang, and he also knew something about Han Guang's strength. Because of this, he couldn't understand it. This reminded Buyu of Han Guang's previous brilliant achievements, and it was because of him. It was a sure-win situation, but because Mundogan was accidentally killed by Han Guang, the situation was completely reversed. Sigh. Hateful. After adjusting the breath for a long time, Boyu suddenly opened his eyes, shrugged his shoulders, and bowed his head forward to spit out a mouthful of blood. As the blood spit out, his breathing seemed to be much smoother, and the whole person's breath became stable. Damn, Boiling Yu muttered in a low voice. His bloodshot eyes flashed with a biting brilliance, his fists clenched slightly, and he showed a humiliated look. I can't be at peace. Now he has no thoughts about Hyuga Haeyoung, nor Orochimaru, only the blood-robed man and Hangguang. One is the enemy. One is a person who must die. Is he only 13 or 14? Really? Boiling Yu murmured. Whoosh. The sound of breaking the air suddenly sounded, coming from the horizon, approaching extremely fast, and the sound became louder and louder. The boiling rain suddenly changed color, looked up, and then his face became ruthless. The blood-robed man is here. You dare to chase me, you have the guts. Damn it, Boiling Yu said, biting on Kiba, heaving a sigh of relief, turned around and disappeared in place. The sky, Senju Senrao, who was flying at high speed, felt that the smell of boiling rain disappeared, his face was strange, his hand holding the blade of Kurigakure was tighter, and the whole person was highly vigilant. Whoa! Boiling rain is coming, appeared out of thin air behind Senju Senluo, beheading his head like a thunderbolt. Senju Senluo had been prepared for a long time, and the return was a knife. Same moment, Luhan appeared above Senju Senluo out of thin air, and the tip of the sword of astonishment was aimed at Boiling Yu. Jinghong Peerless. Chapter 0335_ended. Horaishin Kuwu is on this blood-robed guy. Thoughts flashed through Boiling Rain's mind like lightning, only this explanation, otherwise, the cold light could not come to him at such a height. He was right, that's it. This is the strategy formulated by Luhan and Senju Senluo, and it is only the beginning. Luhan came suddenly, and Jinghong Peerless launched even more quickly. The dazzling net-shaped thunder light swept away in all directions, hitting Boyu's body in an instant, but did not cause any damage to Boyu, and a tadpole-like black curse appeared on his skin. The terrifying thunderbolt rapidly expanded from a point into a huge thunderball with a diameter of more than 10 meters, without the slightest stagnation, bombarded the boiling rain. Incredibly fast. Luhan used this move to kill a level 50 white-silver boss. Boiling rain is much more powerful than a level 50 white-silver boss. Under normal circumstances, even if this move is a sneak attack, it would be hard to hurt the master's many forbidden technique Boiling Rain. And now, Boiling Yu is not in a normal state, he is injured, and the injury is still deteriorating. Boom! The huge thunderball hit a kilometer in an instant, and bombarded the forest diagonally. The roar was completely shocking, and a large area of the forest was destroyed. However, the Boiling Rain escaped. He also performed the forbidden technique in an instant, the whole person moved out 100 meters horizontally, and the person was still in the air. After completing the instant, a mouthful of blood was sprayed out. Everything happened in a very short time. Let's go. At this moment, Senju threw out Horaishin Kue and went straight to the Boiling Rain, and immediately rushed towards the Boiling Rain at super high speed. Call. Whoa. Luhan and Boiling Yu appeared in front of Boiling Yu almost at the same time. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan took shape on Luhan's hands, too. At the same time, he attacked Boiling Yu, and at a position slightly above, Senju Senra wielded his scythe and slashed at Boiling Yu's head. Get out of here! Boiling Yu, who was walking between life and death, roared furiously. He was injured and could no longer dodge forcibly. Many abilities could no longer be used. I saw his arms stretched out, and black light erupted from the palms of his hands at the same time. In an instant, the black light imagined a protective shield around him, and then erupted around him. Boom! Senju Senluo slashed the black light with a knife, and the whole person collapsed and flew out. Luhan's hands LV9 Ultimate Rasengan bombarded the black light at the same time. The terrifying twisting force shredded the black light in one breath. At this moment, Bo Yu's face changed greatly, and his face showed a crazy color. Full-body chakra rampage to ultimate. Boom, boom. Both hands LV9 ultimate Rasengan bombarded Bo Yu's body at the same time. Hit. Time seemed to be slowing down, and the hit boiling rain curled up like a shrimp, his robe shattered, and more dense tadpole curse marks appeared on his body. Normally, once Lu Han's Rasengan attack breaks the defense, it is enough to knock people out. He was beaten into a mist of blood, and fell on Boiling Yu, but he was only beaten and curled up. Laugh. The boiling rain fell obliquely towards the forest below like a cannonball. Because the speed of the fall was too fast, the flames rubbed between the person and the air. He turned into a fireball and slammed into the forest. Large tracts of woodland collapsed, all trees within a radius of 100 meters were destroyed, and smoke and dust filled the air. Lu Han disappeared into the air, and flickered in another part of the sky next to Horaishin Kanai, who was still flying. After a breath, Lu Han appeared 100 meters above the place where the boiling rain fell, and hand seal at extreme speed. Kaden, fire style, demon flame art. Call. The curtain-like dark Yui-colored flames hit the ground, causing another roar. The fire is soaring. Releasing Kaden, fire style, Lu Han disappeared into the air and landed on the periphery of the burning flame. Senju Sen Luo flew at a high speed and landed next to Lu Han. His expression was slightly condensed, and then he said, "I see and feel his breath. He's not dead." Lu Han responded directly, without the first kill prompt. Of course he didn't kill him. Tough bastard. Senju murmured and curled his lips. This guy is too strong. If we can't kill him, we should commit suicide. Before committing suicide, we should dig the grave and lie down. Suicide in the grave. Senju Senluo, who didn't have time for a haircut, stared at the blazing flames in front of Lu Han, frowning slightly. Horaishin Kui just shot in, but Lu Han can't go in. He will be burned to death. He can only wait for the flame to go out. It stands to reason that boiling rain should be dead. Even if Rasengan with both hands can't break his curse seal defense, it should shock him half to death, and the flame of the ghost flame technique. That kind of temperature, how could it not burn him to death? Ah, yeah, ah, a shrill scream suddenly sounded from the raging flames. Boom, the ground shook, and a figure sprang from the flames, boiling rain. He turned into a man on fire. His whole body was burning, just jumping up. He lost control and flew out of control and fell into the forest in the distance, screaming and rolling. Call, call. The sound of breaking the air appeared in the distance, and it approached at high speed. A few seconds later, a gust of wind swept in, and the two figures that came running suddenly stopped beside Lu Han and Senju Senluo. Orochimaru and Hyuga Haeyoung. They came. This. Hyuga Haeyoung looked at the figure that was full of fire rolling on the ground, and his scalp was a little numb, because the scream was too intimidating. It was no longer a human voice. A look of surprise flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. He glanced at Lu Han, and then at Senju Senrao. Lu Han and Senju Senluo's tactics were very successful. Boiling Yu was already injured, but he was seriously injured internally, but he wanted to kill Senju Senluo very much, so he used Senju Senluo as bait to let boiling rain go to the sky. In the sky, a series of attacks, 2-on-1, as long as Boy Yu uses the forbidden technique, the injury will be heavier. Boy Yu is very strong, but no matter how strong the ninja is, once he is seriously injured, his strength will be reduced. The screams disappeared. Burning Man was still struggling and rolling, but his movements became slower and more difficult, and gradually, the person stopped moving, the flame became smaller and smaller, and finally went out. Boiling rain turned into coke. Boom. The charcoal-like corpse exploded and exploded into black dust. The battle is over. Boiling rain fights to death. Shattered to ashes. It's over. Hyuga Haeyoung, who had been tense all the time, murmured. Lu Han was completely stunned. No first kill reminder. Nothing dropped. Chapter 0336 _ He is not dead. Elves, where is my first kill? Lu Han asked anxiously, This should be considered a leapfrog kill, right? Lu Han watched Boiling Yu burn to death, and everyone else saw it. The bones are gone, turned into ashes, but there is no reward for the first kill, and nothing explodes. No first kill. The elf voice sounded in Lu Han's ear. No, Lu Han was even more anxious. Why not? It's so easy to kill, could it be? Is it because of cooperation to kill the enemy, so no reward is given? Isn't it? But I completed the final kill. No matter what, gotta give some. I have no record of Boiling Rain being killed here. The elf said again. No. No. Not dead. Lu Han's eyes widened slightly, and he instantly opened the insight map, covering the largest area. ... This bastard is finally dead. He was so arrogant before, ha ha ha. Senju Senluo, who was wearing a tattered blood robe, laughed loudly, looking like he was about to burst into tears, ha ha ha. It's good to die. It's good to die, ha ha ha. Beiyu died here. Orochimaru muttered a little moved, and glanced at Lu Han. Hengwang is the first credit. Great credit for this. In contrast, if someone kills Konoha Village Hokage assistant Danzo, the credit will not be comparable to killing Boiling Rain. Although Konoha is the most powerful, Boiling Rain is much stronger than Danzo. He is still the leader of Kurigakure's invasion of the country of Vortex. Commander, now that he is dead, the impact on the situation can be described as great. And it's not just Boiling Rain who died this time, but also the leader of the Kurigakure scout force, Mundogen. Mundogen is a figure on the same level as Hyuga Haeyoung. He belongs to the quasi-high level in Kurigakure village, and if he takes a small step up, he can be regarded as one of the powers of Kurigakure. Boiling Rain is naturally the real high-rise, second only to the existence of Mizukage Ghost Lantern Moon. These two people died in the hands of Han Guang. Anbu. Hyuga Haeyoung looked at Lu Han and muttered. The more he thought about it, the more shocked he became. Anbu is really Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Hyuga Haeyoung originally only knew Anbu Captain White Fang, also known as Hitaki Sakumo. White Fang's strength and ability are beyond doubt, and now, he also knows, Anbu Vice Captain Han Guang. It's also incredibly powerful, and that freak psychosis of Master Mangekyo Sharingan and Mokuten Wood style at the same time. Although Hyuga Haeyoung doesn't know his true identity until now, but he can guess it. He has strong strength, mysterious identity, and special abilities. 9 times out of 10, he is Anbu Ninja. Hyuga Haeyoung also guessed that Senju Senluo may be an experiment. Body. Otherwise, it is impossible to explain Master Mokuten Wood style and Mangekyo Sharingan at the same time. Chirp. A crisp bird chirping sounded in the sky. Flying Ninth roared past from a high altitude, and went away very fast. This is not the first time that Funin has passed by here. In previous battles, Fino often flew by here. Normally, flying ninja should be hovering in the air above the battlefield. Even if he cannot participate in the battle, he will always monitor, but this time they did not do so, because Senju Senluo can fly. They didn't dare to stay near here at all, and they all controlled the Shuadu Eagle to fly at full speed around here and glanced at the situation. Orochimaru, Senju Senra, and Hyuga Haeyoung all raised their heads and watched Fino go away. Senju Senluo raised his hand and waved at Fenin, smiled and said hello, but didn't chase. He was also a little tired and didn't bother to chase. Let's get out of here. Hyuga Haeyoung took his eyes back and looked at the people around him. It's not certain when the Kurigakure force will come, we should leave earlier. Lord Haeyoung said yes. Orochimaru nodded expressionlessly. Let's go. Senju Senluo stretched and shook his head. Lu Han didn't speak. The 4 of them hit the road and ran away to the south. According to Lu Han's previous plan, the 4 of them had to leave the southwest mountains from the south. Judging from the current situation, this plan was still the best. Boiling Rain and Mundogen are dead, but there are still many strong men in the Kurigakure Corps in the southwest mountains, such as the leader of the 3rd Main Battle Regiment of Kurigakure, the captain of Kurigakure Anbu, the incomplete 7 people of the Ninja Blade of Mist. Although there is no powerhouse as strong as Boiling You, but there are a large number of them, plus a large number of other elite Jonin, the strength is still very terrifying. With the strength of Lu Han, Senju Senluo, Orochimaru, and Hyuga Haeyoung, it is easy to break out of the encirclement directly from the south, but if they go north, they may collide with the Kurigakure Corps, which is also dangerous. After an hour, in the vast mountains and forests, Senju Senluo was flying leisurely at a low altitude. He didn't even take out half of his speed, while the others were already close to full speed, still heading south. Hey, the bastard who doesn't give me gifts, what are you thinking? He has been silent, Senju asked, leaning his head beside Lu Han who was running. Gift. Lu Han glanced at Senju Senluo, as if he had remembered something, raised his eyebrows and said, by the way, return the knife to me. Isn't it for me? Lend it from you, give it back to me. If you don't return it, hey, just treat it as a gift for me. It's easy to use. Don't make trouble, you bring this knife back and it will be confiscated. They all know whose knife it is, and you know your situation. It makes sense. Well, hey. Senju Senluo was very reluctant. He took out the blade of Kurigakure pinned to his back robe, and handed it to Lu Han. Lu Han took the blade of Kurigakure and put it directly into the space backpack. Stingy, Senju Senluo began to mutter, squinting at Lu Han. Tell you something. Lu Han glanced at Senju Senluo, then paused and said cautiously, I think Boiling You may not be dead. Not dead. Boiling You stared. Orochimaru and Hyuga Haeyoung, who were running in front, slowed down at the same time, and looked back at Lu Han, one frowning and the other looking surprised. Boiling You's death, but what the four people saw with their own eyes turned into ashes, how could it not be dead? It's just a feeling, it's very strange. Lu Han said in an uncertain tone. In fact, he can be sure that Boiling You is not dead, but he can't tell others how he knows, and he can't explain clearly. There is a very important point. It should be able to prove that Boiling You is not dead. The beheading sword is gone. Chapter 0337_Ghost Lantern Forbidden Hydration Pool. The four stopped and gathered under the tree. Decapitation sword. Orochimaru seemed to suddenly think of that sword, but he actually knew the sword used by Boiling Rain. It was the beheading sword used by the 7 ninja swordsmen and the 7 Munashi ghosts, but he just ignored it subconsciously and didn't think much about it. That knife should have been summoned away. Hyuga Haeyoung looked at Lu Han and asked uncertainly, is he not there? I was also. Hyuga Haeyoung and Orochimaru arrived later, so naturally they don't know where the knife went, whether it was knocked out or what, I can't be sure. They've been carrying that knife, Boiyu, Lu Han continued, his voice hoarse and low. We teamed up to attack Boiyu tactically. I bombarded Boiyu to the ground, and then attacked him with Kaden fire style. When he was on the ground, the beheading sword should still be on him, and after that, the flames engulfed everything, and I couldn't see the situation in the flames. I still remember that the Boiling Rain didn't scream immediately. He temporarily resisted Kaden fire style and then jumped out of the fire, all covered in flames. He probably did something while he was in the flames. Then he was burned to ashes, and the fire went out there, but there was no decapitation. That doesn't seem to prove that Boiling Rain is not dead. Hyuga Haeyoung replied, as early as the last Ninja World War, the 7 people of the Mist Ninja Sword already existed, and they also suffered casualties in the war, but that the 7 ninja knives have always been in the hands of Kurigakure. Kurigakure has the ability to psychic ninja knives. The beheading sword was probably summoned away by someone else. Maybe. Lu Han nodded without arguing. I hope Boiling You is really dead. The Land of Water, the village of Kurigakure. Hiroshi building complex composed of stone towers is regionally combined, forming an extremely large village and town, where tens of thousands of people live, and nearly 1/3 of the number of Chunin people. At this time, the ninja world has been turbulent for a long time, but in the village of Kurigakure, it is still a prosperous and noisy scene. The merchants come and go, just like in the past. Although there are teams of ninjas patrolling intensively, there is no sense of turmoil. The country of water has a unique geographical location, which is easy to defend and difficult to attack. Few villages of ninja will take the initiative to invade the country of water. Therefore, compared with other countries, the country of water as a whole still maintains normal business operations, but there is much less foreign trade. That's it. Southeast of Kurigakure, the gathering place of the ghost lanterns. Inside the dimly lit underground hall, it was empty and no one was there. The brazier was burning at the four corners of the hall, and the firelight jumped, giving it a ghostly feeling. Inside the hall, there was a circular pool with a diameter of more than 100 meters. The pool was filled with green water. The water surface was extremely calm and reflected the firelight. Directly in front of the pool is a dark passage. Call, call. Two whirlwinds suddenly rolled up from the entrance of the passage. One fat, one thin, and two extremely tall ninjas appeared out of thin air in front of the passage. The two were not wearing Kurigakure ninja suits, but the standard Jonin suits from the Ghost Lantern clan. The logo of the Ghost family. It's still the same, it's really troublesome, I have to come every day. The tall and fat Ghost Lamp Jonin sighed. Remember that you were here for this job, and you can take the guarding of the forbidden area as an honor, what now? Jonin, the tall and thin Ghost Lamp, teased with a smile. It's so boring, I just come here every day for training, and I can't leave at will. Fatty Jonin frowned and shook his head. I knew I wouldn't take this errand, even though I am free. I'm going to fall ill soon. You can be content. The tall and thin Jonin raised his hand and patted the tall and fat Jonin on the shoulder. Fortunately, you are no longer in the scout unit, otherwise you might have died in the country of Vortex at this time. Bah, can you speak? Ha, just kidding. Hey, alright, let's get started. Start. The two ghost lanterns Jonin walked inside and separated. There were 4 braziers in total. Each of them was responsible for 2. The tall and fat Jonin went to the brazier in the northwest corner, and the tall and thin Jonin went to the brazier in the southwest corner. Both of them hand-sealed at the same time. Ninja. The two of them hand-sealed at the same time, and poured chakra into the brazier, which was actually a ninja tool. The two went to the brazier in the southeast corner and the northeast corner respectively, and they also injected chakra. A very simple long-term task is to inject chakra into the brazier every day to keep the brazier bright. After the two did everything, they both walked to the pool on the side of the main hall. I heard that as long as you enter this hydration pool, the possibility of cultivating the technique of hydration will be greatly improved. It seems that there is something in the hydration pool, which is left by the ancestors who created the technique of hydration. Fatty Jonin pinching his chin, I don't know if it's true. You can try. Tall and thin Jonin glanced around and smiled. Do you want me to die? Fatty Jonin said angrily. What are you afraid of? Although the clan rules don't allow it, no one will know if I don't say it. The tall and thin ninja spread his hands. What I'm afraid of is not the clan rules. The tall and fat ninja shook his head and continued, there are things more terrifying than clan rules. Oh, what? I've also heard that if you enter the hydration pool without authorization, people will directly turn into water, and they won't turn into people again, but they will die. Unless the master's hydration technique. I also heard that, and my grandfather is alive. I told me some time ago that there are secrets in the hydration pond. You must know that this pond was built together when the village was established. It seems, not only belongs to our ghost lamp family. You know a lot, boy. Of course, don't look at who I am. Okay, stop being narcissistic, let's go out, it's too cold here. Let's go, it's a little cold. One fat and one thin, the two ghost lamp Jonin turned around and walked out, and the tall fat Jonin began to sigh again. Hey. When is this day ahead? This place is said to be a forbidden area, but it is of no use. We're here to stay. Wow. The extremely calm hydration pool suddenly rippled. Huh. The two ghost lanterns Jonin were startled at the same time, their eyes widened, and they quickly turned around to look. They have been guarding the forbidden area of ghost lights for several years and have never encountered such a situation. This is... How? Whoa. The center of the hydration pool suddenly set off a wave of water several meters high, and the splashed water droplets gathered to a higher position, gradually condensing into a translucent figure. Chapter 0338-Reincarnation Hydration. A terrifying aura swayed, rising and falling, and an indescribable sense of power filled the entire hall. This is... It seems like... Thin Jonin and the tall and fat Jonin have opened their mouths wide, their eyes are staring, and they are extremely surprised. They have both heard the legend of the hydration pool, and they all know some secrets within the clan, so they cannot understand the situation at this time. I even forgot to go out and call someone, I just watched. On the water surface of the hydration pool, the translucent human figure made of water gradually took on a special color. First, blood vessels and meridians appeared in it, then bone organs, flesh and blood. Finally, it became a living person, still dripping water. Long black hair without wind automatic. Tall thin Jonin and the tall fat Jonin glanced at each other, and both saw the horror in the other's eyes, and the two were speechless in shock. Consciousness awakens from the darkness. The figure hovering on the water slowly fell, stood on the water and stood stably, slowly opening his eyes. Those eyes were full of boundless coldness. I saw him wave his right hand, and a special scroll appeared in his hands. See Mr. Boiling You. The two Jonins finally recovered and knelt down to greet each other. Shit. Die. The resurrected Boiling You made a stiff voice, as if he didn't speak too much. The cold meaning in his eyes gradually turned to anger. Hengu. It. Die. Damn. Exclamation mark. Ah. The last sound was a hysterical roar of fury, and that voice contained unwillingness, resentment, and a chilling killing intent. Boom, 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 boom. With the roar, dozens of water Jinchuriki column burst out in the hydration pool. All of them hit the top of the hall. The whole hall shook, and countless small gravels fell from all over the place. Sir. Sir. The two ghost lanterns Jonin made a sound one after another, for fear that the boiling rain would destroy the place, but they still knelt and lowered their heads lower. The breath of the boiling rain made them fear from the bottom of their hearts. Inform Lord Mizukage to come here. Boiling You finally looked at the two Jonins and said in a low voice. ... In the core hinterland of Kurigakure village, on a towering tower with an old-fashioned and solemn shape. In the spacious office, Ghost Lantern Wanyu was sitting on the rocking chair by the balcony, with one hand gently wiping the mustache on his upper lip, and the other hand holding a teacup, his eyes twinkling, as if he was thinking about something. Call. The whirlwind suddenly rolled up from the desk, and a middle-aged ninja in his 30s appeared out of nowhere. He saw the ghost lantern and the moon, and quickly said respectfully, Mizukage, you are looking for me. Ghost Lantern Wanyu turned his head and smiled, raised his hand and put the teacup on the desk, and said with a smile, there are no outsiders here. Uncle. The middle-aged ninja was still respectful, but changed his name to Ghost Lantern. It is one of the core high-level leaders of Kurigakure village, the current patriarch of the Ghost Lamp family. The Ghost Lamp is hidden. His father, Gaidong Chuntao, is the elder brother of Gaidong Wanyu, and he is naturally the nephew of Gaidong Wanyu. There is good news. Ghost Lantern Wanyu smiled, looking in a very good mood. Your uncle Boyu has already sent back the news, and successfully turned against Uzumaki Jinghai. He will cooperate with us to defeat Konoha, your father. We'll be fine. Quote. That's good, my nephew can finally rest assured. Gui Dengmingyin raised his head and showed a smile, this time, thanks to Uncle Boiling You. He personally went to the country of Vortex, if it wasn't for my father. Alas. Mingyin finally sighed and shook his head. Uncle Boiling Rain. This name is very interesting. The whole Kurigakure village know that Kurigakure Mizukage assists Boyu, whose real name is not Boyu, what it was called before. No one has mentioned it, and few people know that Akatsuki, Boyu's mother, is the ninja of the Ghost Lamp clan. Therefore, Boyu is not a member of the Ghost Lantern clan, but he has the blood of the Ghost Lantern clan and can be regarded as a descendant. Mingyin, you have to prepare early. In another 10 years, I may abdicate. When I was young, I had a life and death battle with that darn Wu. I burned him, and he also hurt me, an incurable injury. In 10 more years at most, I will retire. Your Uncle Feiyu will come to the throne, you have to help him with all your strength, but he is not too young, and he doesn't like to be in charge. In fact, he is more talented than me, if it is not because going the wrong way. If he takes the position, maybe he will take the initiative in a few years, and then this Mizukage position is yours. Do you understand? Gui Lan Huanyu stared at Gui Lan Mingyan. My nephew understands, please rest assured, uncle. Gui Deng bowed his head respectfully. When the time comes, my nephew will take the responsibility. Okay. Ghost Lantern Wanyu smiled and nodded. Report to Mizukage, Sama. A hurried voice suddenly sounded outside the door. Come in, Ghost Lantern said with a frown, his smile restrained, and his expression dignified. Whoa, the door was slammed open, and the tall and thin Ghost Lamp Jonan walked through the door quickly, all the way to the desk, knelt down and said quickly, Report Lord Mizukage. Just now, Lord Boiling You appeared in the hydration pool of the Ghost Lamp Forbidden Area, and he asked you to pass. Huh. Ghost Lantern Wanyu's pupils shrank violently, her face changed dramatically, as if she had heard something extremely terrifying, her expression a little horrified. The stunned boss of Gaidong Mingyan looked at the tall and thin Jonan kneeling on the ground incredulously, and then looked at Gaidong Wanyu, but it was an inquiring look. There was one thing he was not sure about. Ghost Lantern Huanyu and Gui Lan Mingyan glanced at each other, said nothing, slowly stood up from the chair, breathing more and more rapidly. He acquiesced to Gaidong Mingyan's conjecture. The art of reincarnation and hydration. Uncle Boiling You has really completed it. But, Ghost Lamp was stunned, because he already knew that Boiling You had become the Super S-level forbidden technique of the Ghost Lamp family. It was an art that no one had ever mastered since the establishment of Kurigakure village. And Ghost Lamp Mingyan also knows that Boiling Rain has not only completed the Super S-level forbidden technique that touches the profound meaning of life and death, but also used it up. A once-in-a-lifetime technique. Already used up. And that technique, only death can be effective. That is to say, not long ago, Boiling Rain died in the country of Vortex. He died once. Strictly speaking, that's not dead, but by normal definition, it's dead. Only death can trigger the effect of that technique. Who did it? Sarutobi Hiruzen. Is it him? Ghost Lantern said in a trembling whisper. Chapter-339 You were distracted. Ghost Lantern couldn't control his thoughts for a while. He thought about too many things, thought about the influence. In the entire Kurigakure village, there are only a handful of ninjas who know the art of reincarnation and hydration. That is to say, in other people in the eyes, Boiling Rain is dead. This can lead to extreme consequences. If the Kurigakure Corps in the land of Vortex is not dispatched by the Commander-in-Chief, there will be trouble. More importantly, they knew that Boiling You was dead, and the army must be in chaos. Also, if Uzumaki Jinghai knew that Boiling You was dead, he would definitely have an idea. More importantly, Ghost Lantern Wanyu knows that although Boiling You is not dead, his body is no longer his original body. He has lost most of the abilities he had before, especially those forbidden techniques, those strange and powerful ones. The technique, although he can rely on practice to remaster, but it will take time. Kurigakure is at war with the outside world. During this period, Kurigakure lost the advanced combat power of Boiling Rain, and the impact was not too big. Ghost Lantern Wanyu stood behind the desk and didn't speak for a long time. The tall and thin ninja knelt on the ground and bowed his head, trembling a little. Because he felt it, a terrifying aura that was suppressed but completely uncontrollable rippled around Ghost Lantern Wanyu. After a few minutes, the Ghost Lamp Clan Forbidden Area, in the dimly lit hall. Boiling Rain sits in the center of the water surface of the hydration pool. His whole body seems to be melting, dripping water continuously, but at the same time, another stream of water climbs up his body and completes the repair. He has just been resurrected, and his body is still unstable. This is him. The reason why I can't leave here and see the ghosts in person. Call, call. Two whirlwinds rolled up in front of the hydration pool, and Ghost Lantern Wanyu and Ghost Lantern Mingyan with Mazukage hats appeared at the same time. Uncle Boiling you. Gaidong Mingyan is very emotional. He has a deep relationship with Gaidong Wanyu and Boyu. For the rest of his life, Jishin has relied on the support of his elders. On the water, Boiling You slowly opened his eyes. Who is it? Ghost Lantern asked directly, her voice low. Cold Light. He has mastered Horaishin. Boiling Rain bit Kiba. What? It's him. Ghost Lantern Wanyu exclaimed. Time flies. 2 days later. In the land of Vortex, since Boiling Rain died in battle, the Kurigakure Corps in the southwest mountains has started a wider search like crazy. 3 more days. Kurigakure base camp in the southwest mountain range of the country of Vortex. See your lord. The ninja wearing a black robe quickly walked into the lobby of the military headquarters, and more than 20 ninjas in the lobby knelt down on one knee to greet him at the same time. How's the situation? The black-robed ninja asked aloud, walked to the inside of the lobby, turned to look at the ninjas, and raised his hand to take off the kabuto hat, revealing an old face. He, the great elder of the Kurigakure Teodi clan, Teodi Fanshin. During the last Ninja World War, Momochi Fanshin was the commander of the 1st Main Station Legion of Kurigakure. He was extremely capable and terrifying. Up to now, after more than 10 years in the country, although Teodi Fanshin is old and his strength has declined, his combat command ability is still there. At this time, the Kurigakure Corps in the country of the Vortex was unstable, and it was necessary to have a person who could make people feel at ease to command the army. The young and strong generation had no record before, so it was difficult for people to be completely convinced from their hearts. Ghost Lantern Wanyu only sent Teodi Fanshin, and it was only temporarily transferred, and he still had arrangements after that. Just when Fanshin Teodi arrived at the base camp of Kurigakure, the southern border of the Land of Fire was dozens of kilometers south, and the border of the east coast of the Land of Tea was on the border. The golden sandy beach looks extremely bright under the sunlight, the waves are bursting, the air is quite humid, and it also has the unique salty atmosphere of the ocean. There are seagulls flying and circling in the sky, and crabs crawling around on the sand. This is a peaceful place that has not been affected by war. Laugh, 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 call. Several cracking sounds sounded from the sea level, and they quickly approached the beach. One of the figures was flying at a height of 1 meter on the sea, and the other 3 were walking on the water. After a while, the 4 figures approached the beach and all slowed down. When they reached the golden sand, they all stopped. Down. Luhan, Orochimaru, Hyuga Heiyong, Senju Senrao, it was the 4 of them. It's completely safe to get here, Kurigakure can't possibly catch up here. Luhan said hoarsely and looked north. It's not far from the border, so we can reach the nearest Konoha stronghold this afternoon. I'm back. Hyuga Heiyong sighed with a smile, a feeling of seeing the sun again. If it's nothing, I'll go back first. Senju Senluo shook his head, looked at the other 2, and then looked at Luhan. I'll go back to Konoha first to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Report to Lord Hokage. Where do you like to go? Where? Just don't die outside. Let's go, you've been talking all the way, you're getting bored to death. Luhan raised his hand in disgust. Bastard. Senju Senluo said Kiba to Luhan, then bent his knees and rose into the sky. Flying to an altitude of 1,000 meters, the figure of the blood robe broke through the air. Let's hit the road too. Luhan glanced at Orochimaru and Hyuga and said. At dusk, at the junction of the southeastern border of the country of fire and the country of vortex, in the deep mountains and old forests, Konoha's temporary scout base. The wide Yamanaka cave is brightly lit by fire. A brazier is placed every few meters in front of the stone walls around the cave, and the fire is all burning. This is a training ground that only Konoha Anbu ninjas can use. Yeah, with a crisp shout, Hyuga Luaning, who was wearing a white training suit, rushed in front of Tsunade, punching and kicking continuously, with extremely fast speed and a very violent attack. Tsunade was expressionless, always standing there, connecting Hyuga Luoning to attack with one hand. The two made more than 10 moves in a row. Tsunade frowned suddenly, slapped Hyuga Luoning on the shoulder, and Hyuga Luoning suddenly fell out. "You're distracted," Tsunade said coldly. Hyuga Luoning didn't say a word, got up silently, sniffed her nose, her eyes circled Yuhi. She turned around again, sat on the ground, buried her head between her legs, and began to cry. Tsunade's eyes were complicated, and he paused before speaking. "Sorry, as Han's teacher, I apologize to you for him. The past 2 days, news has spread that Kurigakure will publicly execute Hyuga Haeyoung, Hyuga Luoning's father. Chapter 0340 I want to listen to him." The bad news came one after another. As early as 10 days ago, Tsunade received a letter from Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen warned her not to enter the southwest mountain range without authorization, and to stay at the stronghold and wait for orders. Sarutobi Hiruzen was clearly aware of Tsunade's mind, and he was also afraid of Tsunade's impulses. 5 days ago, Danzo received information from Uzushiogakure village, saying that he had discovered a change in the Uzumaki family. Tsunade heard about this from Danzo, but did not know the details of Akatsuki, but she understood that this was not a good thing. She didn't dare to look in the worst direction yet, and no one could tell what would happen. And just 2 days ago, Tsunade heard the news that Kurigakure was going to execute Hyuga Haeyoung just now, which is also a very bad thing, not because of how powerful Hyuga Haeyoung is, but because he is part of the Hyuga family long brothers with the main clan patriarch. The news spread by Kurigakure has pointed out that the execution of Hyuga Haeyoung was in revenge for what the Konoha Anbu ninja, Hangwang, did during the prison exchange negotiations between the two parties. Everyone knows that Anbu ninjas are Hokage's immediate cronies. Moreover, the two sides have indeed exchanged prisoners before, so if the responsibility for this lies on Anbu's head, it is not impossible. It depends on what Hyuga Haeyoung thinks. It is difficult to say that after Hyuga Haeyoung's death, Hyuga Haeyoung will not think there are pimples. Tsunade looked at Hyuga Luoning, who was crying, and didn't know how to comfort him. This matter has something to do with Tsunade. Han Guang entered the southwest mountains privately to save Tsunade. Tsunade is Han's teacher. These Hyuga Luoning are very clear, so no matter what Tsunade says, he seems so pale and powerless, even. To say too much can be counterproductive. Originally, Tsunade and Hyuga Luoning, because Hyuga Luoning frequently chatted with Tsunade for so many days, the relationship between the two is already relatively close, but since the news that Hyuga Haeyoung is about to be executed, the relationship between the two has changed. Plummeted. Who can be blamed? Tsunade couldn't blame Han in her heart. She couldn't remember how many times she called Han's name at night and woke up crying. Instead, she hated herself a little bit. She blamed herself. If she were stronger, she would have escaped from the southwest mountains. There won't be so many things. Tsunade knew what Hyuga Luoning was thinking, and she felt that Hyuga Luoning liked the cold, and because of this, Hyuga Luoning suffered even more. The person who killed her father was the one she liked, which is indescribable. Pain. Stop crying, get up, it will all pass. Tsunade said lightly. Hyuga Luoning didn't seem to hear Tsunade's voice, still sitting on the cold ground, burying her head and crying. Tsunade took a few steps forward, stopped in front of Hyuga Luoning, paused, then leaned over and grabbed Hyuga Luoning's arm, pulling it up hard. Hyuga Luoning was very weak and did not resist. She was pulled up by Tsunade. She leaned directly into Tsunade's arms, buried her head on Tsunade's shoulder, sobbing and crying louder. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Tsunade hugged Hyuga Luoning's shoulder lightly, patted Hyuga Luoning's back. Her eye circles were a little Yuhi. She forcibly endured no one crying. She would be alone when she was alone when I cry. I don't want people to know my sadness. No, I don't want you to say sorry. Hyuga Luoning suddenly pushed Tsunade away, crying excitedly, let him tell me personally. I want to listen to him. Tsunade looked at Hyuga Luoning's appearance, pursed his lips, raised his hand to wipe the corner of his eyes, and shook his head slightly. Sadness pervades. It will all pass. It will. Tsunade bowed his head slightly, raised his hand and tucked his hair on his temples behind his ears. How did I go? Woo woo. Hyuga Luoning squatted again, hugging her head and crying. The wide cave, the flames jumped, and the girl's cry was filled with endless sadness. Tsunade's nose was a little sore, but he held back the tears. For a long time. Hyuga Luoning's emotions calmed down. She stood up silently, raised her hands and kept wiping the tears on her face. Her shoulders were shaking, and she was sobbing a little. Have you ever thought about revenge? Tsunade was expressionless again, his voice cold. Hyuga Luo nodded solemnly. Come on then, Tsunade said. Okay. Hyuga Luoning responded, took a quick step forward, and stabbed the acupuncture point on Tsunade's shoulder with her fingertips. She started a frantic attack. Tsunade was the target, but she couldn't hurt Tsunade at all. Jonins of the same level, there are very few ninjas whose taijutsu is stronger than that of Hyuga Luoning, because Hyuga Luoning is a pure taijutsu ninja, and Tsunade is also a taijutsu ninja, more than 10 times stronger than Hyuga Luoning. Time flies. Hyuga Luoning fell down again and again and got up again and again. She seemed to have forgotten the time, and unknowingly, it was already night. Jiraiya came here once, leaned against the stone wall at the entrance to look for a while, and left without saying anything. Jiraiya understands Tsunade and Hyuga Luoning very well, because he also has people he cares about. Orochimaru. There has been no news. At present, Konoha has defined Orochimaru as missing. This definition is not much different from death. I remember that during the last ninja war, there were hundreds of ninjas missing in Konoha. Up to now, these ninjas are still defined. To disappear, in fact, is to die, but it is impossible to determine how and where he died. Late at night, on the southeastern border of the Fire Country, in the vast forest. The moonlight was dim, but the forest was dark and the light was severely lacking, but for Lu Han, Hyuga Haeyoung, and Orochimaru, as long as there was some light, even though they couldn't see far, there was no problem in rushing. The three of them jumped forward on the tree. It's almost there. Hyuga Haeyoung had the best eyesight and led the way in front. It's been so long, and I don't know if something has changed. If they have already evacuated, we have to be careful, and we may encounter enemies. It should be fine, Lu Han replied. He could feel that Danzo was still in the temporary stronghold, so he could confirm that the stronghold was still there, but he couldn't say it explicitly. It's been so long, I don't know how the situation is. Hyuga Haeyoung said again, looking at Lu Han. Lu Han jumped, habitually opened the insight map to look at it, and then said, 4 kilometers ahead, there is someone of my own, it may be a secret whistle.